right, should we start? Do you feel comfortable enough?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, welcome back to the Soman Podcast. This is episode, is this 10?
I think this is 10.
I think this is 10.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. The conversations we would have had anyway. I didn't screw it up this time.
It's getting better.
I shortened it.
Yeah, it's getting better.
I think it's better.
I'm a listener, so it's getting better.
This is our fan episode.
Sorry.
We have myself, Matt Brozick, we have Wade Abid, and we also have the Mankato East hockey coach, Adam Freeze, with us. Freeze, not fries, right?
Freeze, not fries.
Yes, there we go. I always remember that.
Yep.
Because I probably said it wrong at least twice before you
Probably.
told me that I was talking like an idiot. But anyway.
Because it's F-R-I-E-S, right?
Yeah.
So I can just quick tell a funny story about that. My college roommate, his last name was Burger. So
Gotcha.
one year for Christmas, or for Halloween, for Halloween we were burger and fries.
Burger and fries.
I wish I would have been at that party. It sounds like it would have been
It was a
time.
good one, I'm sure.
Well, we want to say a quick thank you before we get to a number of cool topics. We want to thank Bolton and Mink Studios.
At Bolton Mink Studios on the gram, thank you.
On the gram, we want to thank the Pastel Pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's going to zoom in on this. We got a bunch of stickers. So the cool thing is, if you come on the podcast, you get one of these stickers. So if you see one of these driving around, you know that person has been on our extremely prestigious podcast that gets tens of views.
Tens. We now have 13 viewers. And a big shout out to Tony. Tony is back. He was gone for a couple of podcast episodes.
You were stuck in Texas, weren't you? Yeah, so he was getting rained on by snow and ice, watching crazy drivers bang into everything. Thank God he's back and made it.
So now Tony's back into the land of snow and ice.
Today's beautiful, though. Today reminded me, super side note, today reminded me when I was putting my hockey jersey on, because this is our hockey episode, is like in the spring when you get all of the like championships. You have the boys tournament, you have the NCAA tournament, all the regionals, all that stuff. Like it's that weather warm up in Minnesota is like, that's when all of that stuff is starting. And to me, that's just like a trigger in my head. It's like, okay, well, we're time to push. Go Bulldogs, go Wild, or Mavs, I guess, if you're going to do that. But probably catch some flack for not saying go Mavs right away.
Go Mavericks.
Go Mavericks.
Go Mavs.
Right now, just to be completely transparent, my UMD Bulldogs as of today are ranked in the poll number 10. We're ranked number 4 as of 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we didn't take care of business. So go Mavs, because that might be the only team left for me to cheer for. Yeah, I don't know if my Bulldogs are going to do it. But anyway, we have the hockey coach for the Mankato East Boys with us, Adam. How are you?
Good. How are you guys today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for
Couldn't be any better.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Talking with us a little bit today. We had talked just a little bit beforehand about kind of what we do on the podcast with new guests, because all of them are new guests. We haven't had any repeats yet, but kind of where you're from, and just kind of start with that, and then we'll kind of progress through that and talk a little bit more about hockey and culture and all the other fun stuff.
Yeah, so I'm from Wisconsin, born and raised.
Hold on. Where in Wisconsin?
Wisconsin Rapids.
Okay.
Actually, I've kind of been around the world in Wisconsin. Park Falls. My parents now live in Rhinelander part-time, and then moved to Wisconsin Rapids.
Rhinelander's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I've been to
Musky
Rhinelander.
fishing there.
Yes.
Very big area. So
Yes.
Raleigh and Helens is only about 25 miles away from my parents' house, which you would know is big deal.
I'm fishing the professional tournament Muskie Trail this year. Or PMTT, whatever. Anyway, and so our first tournament of the year is in Eagle River, Wisconsin. So right out there.
I've been there too.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that.
One of the most unique hockey rinks that I've ever skated in is in Eagle River, Wisconsin.
What makes it unique?
It's an all wood building, and it's a dome.
Okay.
And all of the old original, it's all original. You walk into that place, it's the Wisconsin Hockey Hall of Fame is the front entrance.
Okay.
Really?
And then it's just a big wood dome, and the stands kind of go up, kind of run into the ceiling, and
cool.
It's really, really nice.
Now, did you play in there like competitive against Eagle River, or like what?
Like in youth hockey, yeah, we played there a bit. They were always pretty good growing up, but I mean, everybody kind of wanted to go there. It's even from Minnesota. One of my assistant coaches is from Wisconsin too. He's from Spooner, Matt Tyree. I know you don't like name drops, but I had to.
Hi, Matt. How
But
are you?
one of our things is like
Matt
we want to.
Spooner. Love
I didn't know he
Spooner.
was from Spooner.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. All right.
So
Tyree, well, I yell at him a little bit when he gets the offsides calls wrong for the Mavs, but whatever.
yeah.
Same guy, right? That's who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I got
He's
it right
one
now.
of my assistant coaches now.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
so we talked about it'd be sweet to bring our kids there, someday,
Mhm.
and just see how much different it is, and because
Mhm.
it is like probably one of the richest hockey cultures in Wisconsin is Eagle River.
Yep.
Because it's like Eagle River, Three Lakes, like Rhinelander, like all that whole area is
Yeah.
just super
Minocqua.
cool. Minocqua.
Yeah, Minocqua.
It's such a cool area over there.
Right.
So you grew up there your whole life?
Yeah.
High school there?
Yep. So then went to Wisconsin Rapids, and then went to school in Green Bay for a short stint. Moved back home. Then I started coaching hockey, and
Slow
then-
down. Slow down.
Yeah,
all
like this
kinds of
is just
stuff.
like we're like, whoa.
I forgot this isn't a 20-minute one that we're
Yeah, we
longer.
gotta say.
No, we gotta. Okay,
So-
so back up. So,
So you go to UWGB or like St. Norbert's or
Yep. So UWGB was my first acceptance.
okay,
And I went with it.
and so you went there to play.
No, it
you
did
put-
nothing to do with hockey.
Okay, because
Like-
that's
Was it for a girl?
No.
Oh,
finally
okay. Well, wow. Not
Yeah.
for a sport or a girl. We haven't had that person
Yeah.
on here yet.
because UWGB is primarily. I mean, it's a D1 basketball school. I mean, that's kind of what it's known for. I mean, like sports.
Actually, women's basketball is what it's really known for.
Just a D1 sports, really a good hooping school. So I was
Yep.
curious but there are also some smaller hockey schools in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So just curious if you went there to do,
No.
to
So
do that.
so in high school, like what kind of kid were you in high school?
I
Did you get along with people, or were you
Yeah.
kind of like the kid that made everyone mad, or like
no. I think I got along with most everybody, right? I mean,
you seem like a guy that would get along with a lot of people.
yeah,
Have a lot of fun.
I did. I definitely had a lot of fun. And I'm still having a lot of fun, by the way, as I approach 40. So I hope that never
You're not
changes.
that old, are you?
Getting there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Couple-
He's like with you.
Yeah. A couple of years, we were gonna have one party.
Wow. That'd be pretty. Because you're 39.
I'm
Wade.
39, yeah, still.
I've been told that our voices sound very alike, so now we have to identify each other. But I'm 34. You're 49. 39. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're how old?
37.
37.
Wow, look
Soon
at
to
that.
be 38.
Look at these guys.
That's when's your birthday?
August.
Oh, okay, all right. April 23rd for me.
We're having a little shindig I should tell you about.
Yeah.
I gotta tell both of you about. My wife we figured it out. But okay. Anyway, that's a side note.
All right, so you play. So you go. So what high school did you go to?
So like I went to Park Falls High School, and then I went to Wisconsin Rapids Lincoln.
Okay.
So
What's the biggest difference between going to high school out where you went to high school versus like Mankato East?
Really not much. I mean, everybody has their group of friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Like that was looking back 20 years ago, right? But yeah, I mean, I would say that it was very similar.
Okay.
I mean, there wasn't the technology and stuff like there is today, to keep kids. We didn't have the Snapchat or the Gram or Facebook. I don't even believe was around at the time.
No.
Believe that or not, but I don't know. I mean, we did a lot of. We were outside a ton. Like did a lot of snowmobiling, a lot of outside stuff.
Yeah.
Ski, snowboard. Played tons of hockey, obviously, and
So
do
when
they
did
have,
you
like the
when did you
outdoor rinks?
switch? Like, so did you change high schools?
yeah, sophomore yearish.
Okay, so your sophomore year or freshman year you went to which high school?
Park Falls.
Park Falls,
Mhm.
and then you moved and you
Yep.
started your sophomore year
Yep.
at a new school,
Mhm.
and that was
Wisconsin Rapids.
okay. So Park Falls to Wisconsin Rapids. And you played hockey at both schools?
Mhm.
So that's a way to get plugged in pretty fast.
Yeah.
Did you move schools to play hockey, or was it just coincidence?
My dad's job was
changed.
just changed. Yeah.
Okay.
So went through the whole move as a kid, a couple of different times, but
Interesting. So then you left a hockey team that you probably, had some friends and grew up, playing with, and then you move your sophomore year. So you're like the new guy.
yeah.
Well, what was that year like when you made the jump from, schools?
I knew some kids there anyways.
So that helps.
Yeah, it helps. Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. There were a couple of kids because I also switched high schools. I did, like freshman year in Waukegan, Illinois, and then I did sophomore, junior, senior year at Lakeville.
Oh.
And so Lakeville didn't have two schools. Then it had the one school, which I think is Lakeville North, which
Okay.
is the Panthers.
Yep.
So there were kids that would transfer and come to school and play hockey at Lakeville.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they were just coming to play hockey. I mean, like that was always the thought or the rumor. Like, this new guy is coming. He's really good. He's good. He's gonna come play at Lakeville. Because it was like big hockey culture.
Right.
And so I was just curious if it's just a job change. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. Can I stop right there? I just have a really quick story. Have I ever told you about when I came back from Duluth, graduated from Duluth, came back to Mankato and started playing C League in Mankato?
Yeah.
I've told you this story.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever told you this story, Wade.
I don't know.
Okay, so this is a funny story. So when I was up in at UMD, I came in having like no clue about hockey. Skated like 3 times in my life before that, and then leave UMD as like a rabid college hockey fan, like huge UMD Bulldog hockey fan, or whatever. Anyway, so long story short is I'm at like this house party one time, and and I'm talking to a few of these guys, and I was just starting intramurals, and they're like, well, what do you have gear and stuff? And these are a couple of hockey players, like Rob Bordson was one of them, who was playing for the Bulldogs at the time, and I'm like, well. Yeah, I don't have any gear. And he goes, well, come downstairs. Like, here, I'll hook you up. So he like throws me a pair of his old breezers.
Yeah.
And so they're all like beat up,
Yep.
We got the Bulldog on them, all the stuff and, whatever. So I was like, okay, well, this is cool. So then I come back to Mankato. Now, at this point, I can hardly skate backwards still, right?
Yeah.
And so I come and play C League hockey in Mankato, and they have this little, like, for new people, they have you come skate the summer league.
Yeah.
Beforehand, just to kind of gauge like what your talent level is and if you belong in C League, because it's called C League for a reason. It's not A League, it's not super competitive, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I come in to the locker room and I'm like taking my stuff out, and I've got like Bulldog to the max, like
Right.
all the D1 like gear. I look like I just came out of,
Right.
I just graduated and played for the Bulldogs, So all these guys are on the and a couple of gals that we played with, they're all like looking at me like, oh my gosh, like did you play? And I'm like, yeah, I played up in Duluth, not for
Right.
Duluth. I'm like, they'll find out soon enough. And so I get on the ice, and they're like, oh, he's lying. It's not his gear.
And they're like,
I did score though a goal on my first shift ever in C League, and then I fell down doing it. It was totally by accident, but that was one of the funniest things ever. I hit the ice and I was skating around. They're like, oh, he's just an idiot. It's actually not his gear.
Do you still play?
I haven't the last 2 years.
Yeah.
No.
and that's the funny part is, so you go from here to UMD, and you did not play hockey.
No,
Did you watch hockey? Did you?
I watched a little bit of hockey. I
Yeah.
wanted to play hockey growing up, a little bit, and I was like 6 foot tall in 6th grade, so
Yeah.
basketball was extremely easy.
Yeah.
So like once I got to about like 7th, 8th grade, I just didn't really like basketball a whole lot, so I wrestled for a while.
Yeah.
I played football, ran track a little bit. Track was more because there's boys and girls track at the same
Yeah.
meets, so that it's kind of what that was for. I was never really good at that, but when I went up to Duluth, Sprague, who we've had on the
Yeah.
podcast, he asked me if I wanted to go get season tickets to the Bulldogs, and I'm like,
Sure.
dude, I don't know, like, do we really want to? He's like, bros, you need to do this. I go, how much are they? He's like, they're like $50.
Yeah, like
for
they're
the whole
super cheap.
season, And I'm like, oh, $50. That's like, at this point we're whatever 18. I'm like, oh, but that's like 2 cases of beer.
Right. Or 3
that's
or
the currency.
4. Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is probably too much for the story, but yeah, so I got season tickets and just completely fell in love with it. Started playing intramurals.
Yeah.
And like we would at least 4 to 5 afternoons a week after school in Duluth, we
Yeah.
would go out and we would play just some pickup game.
Yeah.
And the worst part about that is I have like kids that are now like Owen's age. I mean, like little 8-year-olds that are skating past me,
Yeah.
And the biggest thing about Duluth was so amazing is every night there was a group of guys that would come and zamboni the ice. So they would refinish it for those people who don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And so the rinks outdoors in Duluth were as good, if not better, than our indoor rinks down here.
Yeah.
And that was like mind-blowing to me. It was such a culture shock of like, this is all these people do.
Yeah.
Or not all. That and
But a
these
lot.
people, you know what I mean? That it's not like it's a bad thing, but it's like this is what is the focus. So maybe that's a super tangent, but
No,
kind of
because
along
I
the
think
same
that's
line.
interesting because I believe there's a group of people in Duluth that it's a large few organization that take care of the outdoor rinks.
Yep.
Right. So I mean, you go to Hermantown and like, I mean, Hermantown's one of the best, hockey schools, in Minnesota,
Yep.
single A hockey, right? I mean, that's
Yep.
a debate for a different day, but
Mhm.
like the school bus drops their kids off at one of the 5 outdoor rinks after school, and
Yep.
the parents pick them up.
That's
right?
daycare is
Yeah.
the outdoor rink.
Right.
They
That's
put their
amazing.
gear like on the bus and they just drop them off.
Okay.
And they play hockey until their parents get off of work, and then they go to probably hockey practice.
Yeah, right. That's like Roseau too. Like they have a rink
Yep.
that's open 24 hours. You just go in and skate whenever you want. Leave your gear there for after school, whatever. You can come in and go whenever you want, right? And I mean, a really small community, and you're just to me that's amazing. That would never fly down here.
But everybody's behind it, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of that this is going to be a mainstream part of the culture.
Yeah.
So to get back, you went to UWGB,
Mm-hmm.
and then you left.
Let's talk more about hockey instead of him.
You left. So then you left.
Yeah. So like I came home because like I needed some. I'll say it now, but I would have never admitted to it then. I need a little guidance.
Yeah.
Because I went and high school was like easy for me.
Yeah.
So then I went to college and I was like, oh, I do need to do some studying actually.
Mhm.
Yep.
So Christmas that year was tough because I knew that was coming, and
Yep.
I was like, how do I face my parents with this? So I did go back, for the second semester, and then I did move home after that.
Yep.
Try to get my life back together a little bit.
Yep.
So were you also on academic probation your first semester?
Yeah.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah.
So now I
Had to-
just put that out there for all the people that know me. I was totally on academic probation
Yeah.
my first semester.
Well,
Only uphill from there.
it happens though, and it's a good thing for any. If we have any kids in high school or people that are going to listen to this, based on the guest, the first, I think, freshman orientation going into college, they told you, like, look around, like a bunch of these folks are not going to be here,
Mm-hmm.
like the second semester.
Yeah.
And then like the second year, like a bunch are not going to be here
Yeah.
because they're not going to step up and do the things, or it's just maybe they go and their social life takes number one and school's number two.
Mm-hmm.
Those letters come really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And the first semester of college, like, for me, felt like it was like a week long.
Mm-hmm.
It was so fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, geez, it's already break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
My mom called me and she's like, "Are you coming home this weekend?" I'm like, "Well, why?" She goes, "It's Thanksgiving." I'm like, "Huh? Are you serious?
Already?
Like, I don't want to come home.
I don't want to come home. This
I
is
like
great
this
up
place."
here.
Yeah.
Well, you can't stay there. And so it happens fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
And I got to, so like the Green Bay Gamblers play there, USHL team.
Yep.
And that's great hockey, and those are all kids who are going to eventually probably go to the NHL someday or have a really good chance or play Division I hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew some of those kids from playing hockey that were eventually played there. So they lived with like billet families, and so they were
So
like, well,
explain
hey.
what that is.
So billet family, we're a billet family right now. So what it is a player goes and plays for like the Gamblers, if you will,
Yep.
and they live with the family.
Has a
And so-
host family.
Has a host family,
Mhm.
yeah. And so they'll, they feed them and bring them into their family, stuff like that. And then they go and do all of their normal life things, right? So you're not like in a dorm, you're in the comfort of a home,
Mhm.
so
So
kind
what-
of get a little bit more
It's
out of it.
billet.
Yep.
Does that have any significance, like the billet? Like, is there a reason, or because they bill it to you? Like you, like was it Dan? Like Daniel Billet was the first man to take a hockey kid into his home and host him.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know.
just that's just what they call it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. I'm sorry, I have to know.
We gotta zap your
I know.
phone
I
on the
should put
TV.
that up there.
Tony, by the way, we gotta like redo this room so we can look at the TV, so you can like throw things up on there for us.
Yeah, we should get here early and then do like a V or something so we
Yeah.
can see that.
Oh, yeah, we got a bunch of ideas.
But,
So
okay,
get ready.
so
So
then-
yeah, so those guys would be like, hey, we want to kind of they're all done with high school, so that's like their transition years, junior hockey, which is before college, where you go play at a real high level.
Which is still weird to me, by the way. But
Why is that?
Yeah.
we can get to that. But I'm saying that the whole sequence of that. I was like, okay.
Well, that's a good point. So explain the sequence of how someone would actually get to the NHL.
Yeah, so
Like,
Well, there's
me,
a lot
I
of-
still
there's
have
a lot of
eligibility for
different paths.
NCAA Division One. So
Yeah.
how I might get there?
So what you do is, you'd play your youth hockey, high school hockey. Some kids would play AAA hockey rather than high school hockey. And then when you graduate, you can play junior hockey really from 15 on, but there's only a cap. You can only play till you're 21. And then you age out of junior hockey. So you'd go to junior hockey, and then you'd play college hockey, and then you'd go to the NHL.
So do you get paid in juniors?
No.
Okay, that's
No.
why.
You don't make any money. But so there's another route you can go, right? You can play if you're really good, and the NHL is your future. And you
go there.
know that at like 17, you would play like in the Western Hockey League in Canada or the Ontario Hockey League in Canada, where a lot of these superstars come from.
Or Russian supers.
Or Russian players, or Swedish kids, or something like that, right?
Here's a question. So
Interesting.
Like I listen to NHL Network on Sirius
XM.
XM, whatever, and so they talk about like the QMJHL.
Yep.
Right. They talk about like what are there differences between those leagues of like how elite one of them is or isn't?
I guess I don't know what the status is, but I think like the Quebec Major Junior League, and then the Western Hockey League, and then the Ontario Hockey League might be
Kind of like
the top
main
three.
feeders?
Yeah, and it's like those kids too are those are like your first and second round draft picks.
Yeah.
Those kids are like ridiculously good. And there's no like college isn't going to be part of your life.
Right.
But what they do is they offer so if you played there for like 3 years and then you went to the NHL, right? That junior team would then offer you a Canadian scholarship, so you could go to any of the Canadian universities for free.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and that's
Okay.
where you see some guys, and I've seen this just with the NCAA, is they might leave after their sophomore year.
Yep.
But the second year into playing professionally, whether it's in the minor league or major league, whatever it is, but they might get their degree 2 or 3 years later down the line because they're studying on plane rides and bus rides and all the other stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are options. Here's one of the other things that I found really interesting is there's a debate between playing. As an example, in Canada, where you're playing much more of like an NHL type schedule. You're playing every other night, every third night, every fourth night, whatever it is, versus NCAA, which typically in a non-weird world like we're in right now, like you're playing Friday, Saturday nights, unless you're on the East Coast and you might have a random Tuesday or something like that that you play. But in general, for the WCHA, which the Mavericks are in for a conference, or the NCHC, which the Bulldogs and a number of others like North Dakota, etc., those guys are playing Friday, Saturday nights.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, what's the debate? Do you think there's a right way of doing it versus a wrong way of doing it?
I don't know, because like the NCAA is producing so many really good hockey players right now. Like,
Yeah.
you look at one of the top players like Cale Makar,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he was just nasty
Yep.
in college hockey, and now he's like one of the top players, for the Colorado
And
Avalanche.
Cale Makar came from, what do you
UMass.
remember? Yeah, well, he played for UMass for a year
Yeah.
and then lost in the national championship to the UMD Bulldogs. Whatever, I won't even get into that. Yeah, go Bulldogs, 3-0.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird deal.
Yeah.
So
Like you look at like even like at MSU, right? There's a
Yeah.
ton of really good players that come out of here. Like last year, like you look at like Connor Mackey, last year made his debut here just a couple of weeks ago. You know what I mean? And he had a great start. Well, I think 2 assists in the first night, something like that. But there's a lot of guys that are playing in the ECHL or the AHL or in the NHL.
that are really
Berkeley
good
at?
players.
Do you know where he's at right now?
I don't know where he's at right now.
have
I
to
know
look
he's
it
with
up.
the Kings for a while.
Yes.
I don't know where he's at now.
Sprague would know that.
I don't know. I feel like since COVID, that team just kind of, I think they got the short end of the stick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know hockey, that well, but I know a good, team when I see it.
Yeah.
To me, that looked like a national championship, type of team.
Yeah.
And I think they got cut out because of what happened, because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
They had a super legit shot.
They
I would
had
say
as-
the best shot that they've ever had to
Oh, yeah.
first winning the first
what I mean?
national tournament game, which they need to get over that because they're like 1-6 at this point, which I'm not trying to point fingers, but they just need to get over that. I think once they hit that and they get over that hump, then I think they can obviously go deep. But they had a super legit.
Yeah.
I think they have a really good chance this year too.
And I
felt
they have
bad
a really
because
good shot.
just the seniors that were there last year, and then,
Yep.
their goalie play, and I think the ages of, that staff is, I think it's helpful. But that team last year seemed special to me. I felt bad for those kids. But I want to get back to,
Okay.
so UWGB, go home, guidance, get that thing sorted out.
Yeah.
Then what happens after that?
Well, throughout that, I mean, you kind of hit a point in your life where you're like, all right, is everything a failure? You know, you're like, school didn't go so well.
Yeah.
You know, parents aren't real happy with you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, you lost some friends along the way, you know, that you're pretty tight with, you know, since you're growing up because
Yep.
they are being successful and you're not so much.
Yep.
You know, so it was like one of those deals where, you know, my brother was you know, living a pretty good hockey career playing. You know, he was a goalie, and I was like, you know, so I'd work out with him, you know, still, you know, after I had gained the elusive freshman 20 or more.
Right.
Yeah. So you're posting up on the power play in front of
Yeah,
the net.
right. So I was like, you know, we kind of did this evaluation with my parents a little bit, and we just like, what's the best path? You know, and like the thing that I missed most at the time was I just missed hockey.
Yep.
It was such a part of your life since, you know, you're 5 or whatever, you know, and it's just, you know, I mean, that's really what you train for.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was gone. You know, you know, all of a sudden don't have a metabolism anymore because, you know, you're not working out, you're not
Yeah,
skating,
you're not skating.
going hard.
And for people who haven't skated like in an actual hockey game or skated hard, it is one of the best workouts in the shortest amount of time you can get possible. It's
Right.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw something that like NHL players are, I can't even remember the number, but the amount of calories that they burn in an NHL hockey game is like 15 or 1,800 or 2,000. I mean, it's just an enormous amount. And you think about how much time they're actually on the ice.
Yeah.
10, 12, like forwards, 10, 12, maybe 15 minutes for the top guys.
Total.
They're actually totally like on the ice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have like defensemen that'll be on there for 30.
Yeah.
Am I getting this right? You're the better hockey mind than I
Yeah,
am. but
yeah. I mean,
that's
we
a
even
hell
do
of a
that
lot
for
of
high school to
calories
try to
in
figure
that
out
amount of time.
who
Yeah.
our kids, how often our kids are playing, you know, because you can gas them in a hurry,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and to be playing your best, you know, we'd chart our forwards, you know, every game, say we knew we were playing our best players when our best players played this many minutes,
Yeah.
you know, so I mean, so I got into coaching from that point, you know, because it was the next best thing. What are you gonna do? Play men's league? Can't take a ton of pride in that. And by the way, I hate playing
Wait. Ton of pride? There's a
but
lot of fun with
it
men's
wasn't
league.
an organized like you played in the C League, which is like an NHL schedule in Mankato. Like you guys had a cup,
Yeah.
you had crowds.
And actually, there were probably 50 to 100 people that would show up for the championship game.
Yeah,
it
at
was
least.
actual crowds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
It's
to go,
amazing.
in
That
5
is amazing.
years that I played it. I was in the championship 3 years. The first year we got totally blown out, and then I won 2 other championships, which were not because of me, because we had really good other players. But those were some of the funnest times I've ever had. Yeah, super amazing. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So
We're
then
back
it was
to you
like
now.
I want to get into coaching, and there was
Did you play juniors?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
So then we did. I tried.
Yeah.
I tried and then got cut and got hurt, and that was just the part of the demoralizing story of that 1 year of your life where you're like, woofed up.
Yep.
Things got to come around eventually, and they did, you know. But then I was like, all right, coaching. So, my brother was playing high school hockey, and there was a junior gold team, if you will, and they needed a coach. The coach there had been there for a while, really old fella, and they were like, if you want to do it, let's shoot you into this. And so I got into it, and I was like, immediately, I'm like, this is what I got to do. Like,
That's awesome.
This is awesome. Like, this is it.
This
is where I want to be.
Like, what about it made you? How did you come to that realization? What was the thought pattern? Like, what made you all of a sudden say, this is it?
Well, first of all, that's the passion for the game, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you don't have a passion for the game, then you don't really, you know, then it's hard to coach, right? Because you got to want to be there.
Yep.
And the other part of it was you stepped into the rink every day. You got to skate, right? You got to learn the game. You got to teach the game, and then you got to, you know, dissect the game.
Yep.
You know, and like usually it was just the coach just telling you this is what you're going to go do, and then you went and did it, right? Did you know the purpose? Yeah. But now it was like, now you have to figure out the purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought it was like a puzzle, a 1,000-piece puzzle that came just natural to me. I could put a Rubik's Cube. By the way, I can't do a Rubik's Cube, but it was like a Rubik's Cube that a lot of people can't figure out how to coach either. You know, it was something that just came natural to me.
And it's hard.
And the competitive spirit.
That's totally hard to take your knowledge that you have. It's a gift for people to be able to coach and be able to help people understand the why of what we're doing, or be able to take those ideas and put them on, whether it's a whiteboard that you're showing the guys how to do stuff, or you're trying to motivate them, or you're trying to manage their time, you're trying to manage all of that stuff. That's a true skill to be able to be an effective coach.
Right. Yeah. And then the next year, my first year there, it was like, so it's like it's like the throwaway kids, from
Yeah.
the high school team. So they didn't make the varsity team. They didn't make the JV team. They knew they weren't going to, so they didn't even try. So then they played on this team, and so that was like.
But that might have been kind
the
of fun, though,
misfits.
actually.
It was.
That might have been the best environment to be in to coach and
And
you
they were
know,
only.
with those
It was the
kids.
weird part is I knew some of them because they're only like 2 or 3 years younger than
Right.
me, and some of them were my brother's friends.
Yeah.
Because I was coaching this team, and he was playing on the high school team, but they all went to high school together, right? So
Yeah.
they all knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty fun. You kind of got to relate with them a little bit
Yep.
more at that age, and I don't know if I couldn't relate to kids. I don't know if I'd be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
But I was able to relate, and then I feel like today I can relate to kids better now than I even did when I was that age.
Yeah.
You
But you have a lot more experience now.
Yeah.
And you're around kids a lot more and
Well,
better coach just 'cause of the years of being in, and around the game.
Yeah.
Not playing the game, but I feel like you probably know hockey so much better because you have to coach it.
Yeah.
It's like if you really want to know something, you teach it
Yeah.
or, basically coach it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been doing that for, I don't know, 17 years or something.
Yeah, 20
You know?
years now.
Yeah, 20 years now. Jesus.
Yeah, isn't it amazing though? Like I'm a big hockey fan, and I watch a game, and you're a hockey coach, and you watch a game. We watch the same players do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I remember this when our boys were playing together a little bit, and like we were watching something, all of a sudden you're like, "Well, look at that guy. He did this and this and this." I'm like,
I didn't see that.
"Yeah, of course, I saw
Right.
that. His edge work is terrible."
Yeah.
Yeah, which you're like, you have no idea.
I'm like, "Well,
'cause
he lost the puck. Yeah, don't do that." And you're looking at it like, "Well, I know exactly why he did that. Those are the 3 things he did wrong before the puck even got there."
Right.
So I think that's so cool to be able to watch it, see it, and then teach that, to kids in a way that they're going to respond to it
Right.
positively.
So did your dad play hockey or your mom play hockey?
So no, my dad did not. My mom did not. But my parents were both like on the youth hockey board.
Yep.
So that's what that helped.
So that
And
helped.
So my brothers all played. I'm the oldest, but so I kind of started the train, and we all kind of got into it.
Yeah. So how many in your family kids?
So I have 2 younger brothers.
Okay, so 3 boys.
Yep.
Jeez. Okay.
Yep.
How did your mom handle that?
And my middle brother was a goalie, which he was really, really good. He was probably one of the top goalies in the state there for a while.
Really?
In Wisconsin, yeah.
Yeah, I think you can't be. You can't half step or be half committed when you're going to play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Have 3 kids play hockey. It seems like an all in or all out kind of sport to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being like I didn't grow up playing hockey.
Right.
I watched the Blackhawks because that was part of the professional sports landscape, right?
Yep.
You got your Bears, Bulls, Cubs, or White Sox, and Blackhawks.
Yep.
So I grew up watching hockey, but I didn't play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a huge disconnect from being a a fan of a team and not knowing how to skate, right? Like there's a city environment. What I learned later on is that there is a huge hockey culture in and around Chicago. There are rinks and men's leagues and all that kind of stuff. I was just not exposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the families that were, there's something about this sport in particular that's it. That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might play something else or like run track in the spring, but it seems like if you play hockey, that's number one.
Yeah.
And everything else kind of gets in line after that.
Mm-hmm.
Like hockey families. And there are all these jokes about hockey families, just it's a 19-month season, and hockey gear costs like $80 million, and if your family, your friends are all hockey.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something about the sport, which I surmise as playing hockey is really hard.
Yeah.
Or it's really hard to be really good at it.
I think too, like to piggyback off that, which I think is interesting, and I've always told people this, that hockey's interesting because it's in the winter, right?
Yeah.
And there's not a ton of stuff to do in the winter up here,
Yep.
right? So
It's like ice
what do you
fishing,
do?
Yep.
maybe snowshoe,
yeah,
ski.
that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, hockey's a ton of work,
Yeah.
but
Right,
it is
exactly.
way more fun
Right.
than snowshoeing.
But so like that's how that culture I think gets grown, and I
Yep.
think that's how it gets grown so fast is because people, converge at a hockey game,
Yep.
or their kids are at practice, or
Yeah.
something like that. Where I think that's where the hockey culture, especially in the state of Minnesota, is so thick, and it's so like, and it's always evolving and it's always growing, and the passion is so high.
What I find so interesting is how regional the hockey culture is. Like the hockey culture down here in Mankato is not the same as it is in the North Metro, or is the same as it is in Duluth or Warroad. I mean, there's different levels, I think, of hockey culture, and I think the farther you go north, kind of the more. I mean, what's your thought about that?
The hockey culture down here is thick. I mean, it's really good. And the more you're involved in it, the more you see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know a lot of people who've been, I know a lot of people that have been like in the Mankato hockey culture, and they're still, when they're 5 and they still live here, right, as adults,
Yeah.
and now
Yeah.
they're 40, and their kids are in the system, and I think that there's still that, there's still that hockey culture. I think it's the play up of, hey, everybody knows Warroad, right? Because everybody's, heard of Warroad, or something like that, because I think everybody pours the same amount of passion into it. It's just like, where did those centralized locations of like championships come from? Warroad, Roseau,
Hermantown,
Hermantown, Duluth East, those areas, like you're naturally going to be able to, that's where that natural exposure is going to come from, just because that's where it's kind of been always the best. But I think, I believe Mankato hockey's got a strong hockey culture.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of where our success has been, since I've started coaching here for 8 years, was not just like, but one thing we've been doing is keep growing the hockey culture.
Exactly.
Growing the culture
Yep.
and growing Mankato hockey while growing our own brand of Mankato East Hockey.
So what about like?
I think it's an assumption that like the further north you go, like the better the hockey is, or
Not necessarily better.
Or like it's more steeped in that hockey culture because it's colder and the winters are longer and all this kind of like folklore about that stuff. I just don't think that's the case, because there seem to be pockets where certain teams get really good, right? Like Maine. You're like, where did Maine come from? You're thinking about all these. There's all these programs that seem like they're packing pipelines.
Boston.
You're like, you think, well, these
Boston,
aren't like
Minnesota.
the typical ones. And then you're like, oh, the school's really good for a while, or they don't. Like, I think the assumption was all the good hockey players in the country come from like 2 places.
But like,
I don't think that's the case anymore.
My point of that is go right back to the outdoor rinks where the ice and stuff was at or better what I used to skate in indoors, like down here. And there's like, I've never seen it. Maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm totally wrong, then tell me I'm wrong. But I haven't seen guys, like 8 guys get together every night for the entire winter and zam some ice. You know what I mean?
See,
And maybe that could change. I don't know. I'd love to see that happen.
I drive by the hockey rink that's near West, because that's the side of town that I live on. There's somebody there playing hockey pretty much all the time. And so
that one's more popular.
It's it's more popular that way, I think. So you coach there, kind of getting back. How did you find your way to Mankato? Because we got like 20 to maybe age 30. So there's 10 years in there where you just kind of coaching different teams. And what did that path look like?
So then I was going to school for athletic training back home, right? And I don't know, it was pretty competitive, to get in there. And actually, I don't know how this ever happened, but I actually at Stevens Point, they have a pretty good athletic training program.
Thank you.
And Mankato's was a little bit better. I couldn't get into the Stevens Point one, but somehow I stumbled into getting into this one. So I don't know if somebody didn't read my application right, and we're like,
by God's grace,
throw this guy in there.
So
So
we need an out-of-stater.
They needed to fill a quota.
I'm sure there's a tax write-off to get me into there rather than an in-state kid.
I think they have reciprocity, something like that.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to go into that. So I got accepted into that program here. So we moved here, and obviously I wanted to keep it going, right? And
so you say we moved here, wasn't it?
So I did have a girlfriend at the time who was here. So I moved in then, and then.
There it is.
See, there's a girl somewhere.
We found it. We knew there's always one somewhere. It's like,
but that didn't last very long once I got here.
but maybe the only maybe that was the universe, man, just saying. This relationship's going to help you get here, so you could do all the things that came next.
Which is the Soman podcast.
Which is this. Right
now look where I'm at today. Now you fast forward every day of my life. Like I am on the Soman podcast.
Cool stickers.
13 people are going to see this.
Okay,
so you come here. You're in the school, athletic training. Okay.
And so then I'm starting to do like some clinical stuff, and so I was coaching hockey at the same time. I had 2 jobs I was working at. Played again. working at Johnson Outdoors, coaching hockey, and doing these clinical things. And I'm like, something here has to give.
Yep.
And I would rather be doing other things that are than working on nights and weekends at high school events. I'd rather be coaching them.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of got out of that, and then I went into business, marketing and management, quickly. And that was a lot more fun because my mind worked a little bit better there. I didn't have to study as hard. I could work. I liked working. I still like working. And I could coach, most importantly. So then I started coaching youth hockey here, and I think I coached Pee Wee B's here, and then I coached Bantam B's for a year, and then I coached Bantam A's for like 7 years. I did have a 1-year stint on the East High School staff, and then I left to go coach Bantam A's. And then when the job came up 8 years ago, to East was opening, I had a bunch of parents call and say, "Hey, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Like, here's your chance." So I talked to my wife, and she's like, "Well, duh. What else would you do?"
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
then I got the job, and
Okay, so
every day's a fun day.
So back up. Your wife's name is
Ashley,
Ashley, and Ashley. How'd you meet Ashley?
I met Ashley.
She's a fun gal.
I met her at South Street.
Perfect.
No.
We should have her on and tell that story.
Yeah, because hers is different.
Right. It's like people meet everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if it's
okay.
there,
I go with
or
what I remember.
yeah.
you know,
We were at church.
No.
at the library or whatever.
Yeah. My roommate was dating her roommate, and that's kind of how it really
Yeah.
evolved. Yeah. So, if it wasn't for my wife being as great as she is, I would not be able to do what I do today.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's a big
in every
commitment.
every aspect of my life, not just
Yeah.
hockey.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And I think
'Cause I have 2 kids.
I think we could all probably say that.
Right.
I don't want to speak for Wade, but I would totally agree with that in my setup. At least
Yeah,
it wasn't so
it's
cool.
I think if you're going to have that, shared success,
gotta
husbands, wives, partners, and everybody,
You got to be a team.
that strong family bond, and having a strong spouse or strong partner.
Right.
I think you can do it, but I think that's the harder path to walk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to have kind of be a multifaceted person and have
Right.
different interests and kids or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, certainly, for Kelly, she's just a better person than I am, basically. I don't know how else
Yeah.
to say it,
Yeah,
Right.
that's.
But
Yep.
it's just the truth. She's a better human being.
I'm not
than
agreeing
me.
to you. I'm actually just looking back at myself. Like, yeah, that's
Right.
totally true. And I said
Yeah.
that too.
It's like,
If you're looking for a nice comment, don't come to me. Go to Ashley, because that's where it's gonna come from.
right. It's like,
And she's a teacher, so she kind of gets
Right.
that too.
Yeah.
Like,
know,
this is the time to use this one, not
Yeah.
the time to use what he's gonna say.
yeah, you got like teachers and nurses in particular. I just think it's some of the hardest jobs and the most selfless people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
and
good
that's
way
my
to put it.
wife. Is just a very selfless person, and she's just a better human being. Just her parents did a better job, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's better looking than you.
That's true. That's true. Still.
Still.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so way back now we went, your wife tells you, Ashley tells you, yeah, you should do this.
Yep.
So who was the hockey coach prior to that? Was it Michaud?
No, Aaron Anderson was before that.
Aaron Anderson. So the other one must have been, it was Pat Michaud, right?
Yeah.
Was it Pat Michaud? And then Aaron Anderson, and then you? Is that how it went?
Yep.
Because Michaud was there when I was in high school.
Okay.
Okay.
And so that was always the boys' high school coach.
I still keep
believe,
contact
like,
with Pat, actually.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really know him at all.
Yeah.
He lived in Eagle Lake. That's I drove by and waved at him. That's
Really
as
good
much
guy.
as I know. But yeah, I like the jersey I was telling you about that I was gonna wear. That's
Yeah.
like super stinky in my hockey bag, which I probably should have worn because
You
it's like a
should've.
stinky hockey jersey is exactly what would have been perfect for today. It's the old school. It's Logan Wenzel's jersey.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you know Logan
Yeah.
from way back when. It's like from 2001, one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I should have worn it.
It should have, because then I could have made it a throwback for next year or something.
Yeah, well, I'll
It's
have
a
to-
pretty distinct smell.
Oh yeah,
Hockey
Hockey
smell is a
bag
different.
is-
Like if you not like for folks that have never been in a hockey locker room or the kids played hockey. Hockey smell is a very special, distinct smell. You know it's hockey.
you know it. Yeah,
There's
it's not
really-
a football locker room.
No.
It's not a tennis locker room.
It's
a hockey
unmistakably
locker
hockey stink,
room. Yeah.
and you know it.
And you can tell if you don't hang your stuff up after you get done from practice or get done with your game. If you
And
leave
what's
it in
great
the back of
about
your
that-
car until next week's game,
It's awful.
It's frozen.
it's frozen.
Yeah.
Number one, so that's a good deterrent. It smells really bad.
And you put it on, and it heats up and smells bad.
Bad. Yeah.
And
On
that's-
the ice smells terrible.
And it's for kids too.
Yeah.
So people think, it's like an adult thing. No,
No.
even little kids, playing like Pee Wees or your Bantams, even that stinks.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
My kid is 8 and mites, and he stinks. It's starting to stink.
Right.
You're like,
Yeah.
all right.
You're like,
and
"Geez,
sweats
kid."
like crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remembered that like first opportunity. I'm like, what is that? Like, that's my hockey bag.
Yeah.
I'm like, we should put that in the trunk. This is not good.
Yeah.
You know, so I grew up, moved to, Lakeville, and just by chance, I happened to, like, the friend group that I made when I came here, they were all hockey players, and they had grown up, like playing hockey since, like mites 1 and 2 and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, like mites, peewee, what? So, you go through all the different, which some of them are probably politically incorrect now, and like the names are going to be changing, I assume soon. But so it was Justin Hyatt, Kyle Lusk, Brandon Hayes were the guys I hung out with, and they all played hockey. And I mean like for years, like they still skate together and do all that stuff.
Didn't I see? Sorry, this is a total side note, but a precursor, and I won't say which one. I think there's one of them that's going to be on the podcast, right?
Brandon Hayes.
Yeah.
And he's a hockey guy. He's like, I want to talk about hockey. I'm like, great, awesome.
Okay. Anyway,
so we go there, and I meet these guys, and they're all hockey players and still played through high school and all that stuff. So they give me a really good introduction to like what that hockey culture was, and I think my junior year, and you probably know all about this, but I'm just from an outsider's perspective. If you haven't been to the state tournament,
mm-hmm.
if you're not from Minnesota or haven't spent time here or wanted to go to Minnesota, if you have an opportunity to go to the high school state hockey tournament, it is something that is unlike anything else I've ever been to as a sporting event.
Mm.
And so, and my buddy's like, hey, can you get a note from your dad? And I was like, to do what? And he's like, to miss school because we're going to drive up to the hockey tournament because it's during, I'm not sure if it's changed, but it's not like it's only on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a NCAA tournament style craziness.
Mm-hmm.
All these players come and,
Wednesday to Saturday.
Right.
Yep.
And so we went up, and this is 1997. It was the first year I went to the state hockey tournament. And it was one of the best sporting events I've ever been to.
Mm-hmm.
It was also, I couldn't believe it was high school hockey.
Yeah.
And the media coverage and the scouts, and it was almost, I don't know, it's like going to the draft or something.
It's amazing. And they play at the XL Energy Center.
Yeah.
And the XL Energy Center, like I think the stated capacity is like what, 19,000
So-
give or take.
Yeah.
But they'll have 23,000 people that are there
packed.
for a high school boys hockey game.
Yeah. And so keep in
Unbelievable.
mind, this is 97.
Yes.
There is no X.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah, you play.
That's right. So where were they then?
I was going to ask you guys.
Yeah. I think they're yep.
Coliseum with
That's right.
probably
Yeah.
clear boards then, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they
That's
played
right. I forgot all about
Okay.
that.
So how cool is that? They're playing at the Coliseum. I'm pretty sure that's where they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going and walking in and paying money to get in, and the tickets they weren't free.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, really, we're gonna go see these? I don't want to do this. Like, no, you should. I mean, if you live in Minnesota now, you should do this.
Yeah.
And so we went there. It was me and my buddy Brandon Hayes, and he had skated all over the Metro, League for years. And so as these players are coming out, like the Jefferson players, the Edina players, all the schools that were really good at the time that are probably still pretty good. And he's pointing out these players and going, this guy is going to go here. He's going to play for, Minnesota. This guy's going to play for here.
Yeah.
He's going to juniors and he's going to the NHL.
Yeah.
And there's all these kids skating around. If you have a chance to do it, I strongly recommend it. You should go to the state hockey tournament. If you can go for 2 days, go for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably like, yeah, no crap. But for me being an outsider, I think it's unique and it's a special event to go to at least once in your life.
You don't even have to like hockey.
Right.
It's
to
amazing.
Just enjoy all of the enthusiasm and passion.
Yeah.
And you like these kids, this is, for a lot of them, this is the biggest stage they'll ever be on. And like just to watch them do what they're doing, and it's so cool with the student section and all that. It's just, the atmosphere is amazing.
Right.
And lately they've done really good jobs with the hockey hair.
Oh, dude.
Because as the hair has come back, you know, kids
The
didn't
all
really
hockey hair team.
Right, the all hockey hair team.
Anybody gets anything out of this episode, go on YouTube and look up the all hockey hair team
from Minnesota.
And watch every single video. You will watch every one of them and you will laugh a lot. Anyway, sorry.
When did they start
You
that?
might even see a guest appearance by somebody on your podcast.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, you were on the all hockey hair team.
Were you?
You were the coach.
Were you?
Honorable mention or something, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a
Okay.
coach.
That's right.
I sat here I know he was going to go here, so I was like, do I say something, do I not? But I'm like,
So you knew that
right.
we were going to
I
go
forgot
hockey hair right now, or just based on the last 30 seconds, you were going hockey hair?
Okay, Tony,
Yeah.
you got to put something in there right now.
Okay,
right
just make a
about
note. We go
now.
look that up, and we'll put that picture on the video.
That's right. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude,
So
we
I mean,
have someone from the all hockey hair team.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's like, you know, being an outsider for hockey culture. I'm just telling you, that's the perspective, right?
I completely forgot about that.
You know.
Oh wow. How can I forget about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the guys that hung out were hockey players.
For you to get on the podcast.
What's that?
That should have been the criteria to get on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like you should have just shown me your credentials, and the very top one should have just been like, I was on all hockey hair.
I think that's
All
going to be
right,
the title is "Where's Your Hockey Hair?"
Yeah.
So, which is,
You know?
There we go.
so I got to
got it.
tell you the story because this is hilarious how I found out about that deal.
Okay,
Right?
let's
So-
hear it.
So we 3 years ago, whatever it was, you know, we make it to the tournament, right? Had a really good section tournament, make it to the tournament. We got we had a really nice team. Go up there, play really well. And everybody knows like it's coming, right? So I actually had to go to China so the tournament ended on Saturday and we played Saturday morning, you know, in the consolation championship. And I have a flight at 8:00 on Sunday morning, right, to go to China for the next 2 weeks, right? So it was the hockey
this
tournament
work or
for
what?
work, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's a hockey tournament for this week. I'm gone for 2 weeks, you know, working. And so my flight's at 8 and on that Sunday morning, and the hockey hair team comes out somewhere between the end of the championship game on Saturday,
Sure.
to Sunday morning by 6 a.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went, so I don't know what time we were leaving. Maybe we were leaving at like 4 o'clock or something like that to, you know, the other guys were picking me up in Eagle Lake. And I woke up to my phone was just blown up.
Right.
Like, you need to watch this. Congratulations. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? Like,
Exactly.
So of course I pull it up and there I am. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like this, why? I was
Oh,
like,
that was
come on
awesome.
now. So I get back from my trip to China and I got like 3 trophies on my work desk. You know, people
Right.
just like chirping me. I was like, unbelievable.
Well, I remember Sprague.
Sorry, it's a thing.
Another thing, because Sprague and I are hockey nerds. But I remember Sprague like texting me the same thing, like right away in the morning. He's like, "Dude, check this out! Look at this!" I'm like, "Nice, look at that guy. We know that guy."
We had a nice showing.
Yeah,
We had a lot of kids too.
It's a thing. I'm saying it's
did have
part
a
of the
nice showing
culture.
that year.
It's part of the culture.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not quite like playoff beard culture based on, you know, some of the age of the, you know, of the athletes.
Some of them are though.
But for some of the athletes, it's
Dude, they
a,
got some.
you know, it's a
mad,
top down thing.
Total flow. Yeah.
Hockey hair and a beard.
Yeah.
And you're, you know, in high
So
school
awesome.
playing hockey.
Right?
Yeah, there's hockey hair is a total thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kid like wants it. Like my kid hasn't got a haircut. He hasn't got a haircut since I don't know, maybe like May-ish, you know. And he didn't want it. He never wanted to get his haircut, you know. And it was almost in tears last year that he had to because his my wife was like, "You're getting your haircut. This is getting ridiculous."
But
Like,
mom,
he's like, "No, I want it. It
Honorable mention.
comes out of my helmet, you know." And I'm like,
Oh,
dude, just chill.
when you got it coming out the ear holes,
Yeah.
that's when you know you really got some flow because it's just flying out the ear
It's
holes.
part of the culture.
It is.
I mean, it
It's so
really
awesome.
is.
So now he just has this really long, dangly blonde hair that is just straight and thick, no curls, no nothing. So,
Awesome.
and he loves it. He thinks it's the coolest thing ever. So,
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
I look forward to that.
You should see him in the mirror, you know, after he gets out of the shower, he's like throwing it up a little bit. He comes out, you know, I guess the other morning he came out to my wife, says, "Mom, look at my flow." I'm like, unbelievable.
Well, hopefully,
So awesome.
you know, hopefully he keeps his hairline because you got a good hairline. You got some good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got some good flow.
you get some good
Speaking-
genes there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, my dad's got a couple of really good receding hairlines. So I don't know, maybe 10 years it'll be back here somewhere. I don't know.
yeah. But that's not today.
No, not today. We have the all hockey hair team.
Yeah,
down here.
that's gonna be the thing, man.
That's so awesome.
Where's your hockey hair?
Where's your hockey hair? Yeah.
That's great.
I didn't get on it last year though, so I was like, okay, good.
Well, I mean, they have to like probably spread
out
the,
the
you know, a
little
little bit, but no,
Because there
because
was
that
actually-
guy who was doing that was going to be done,
Yeah.
and then he came back.
Like it was a big deal. Like he announced retirement.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like I think that made like CNN, ABC News, like this guy's no longer doing this. Like the YouTube world was like, okay.
Barry Melrose,
Yeah.
who anybody who knows anything about hockey knows who Barry Melrose is. This
Yeah.
is a guy who is coached in the NHL. He played in the NHL, right?
Oh yeah.
So this is a guy who has done commentating now for major networks. They tracked him down. No one knew who he was for a long time.
Yeah.
The guy who was doing the YouTube videos, All Hockey Hair Team.
Yeah.
Or like some people did, but they tracked him down and they did an episode. Barry Melrose went and actually like met the guy, talked to the guy.
Yeah.
And I remember in the episode they're like sitting back, having a whiskey, smoking cigars, talking about the All Hockey Hair Team. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I just love being from Minnesota.
Yeah.
But okay, where were we before we got the All Hockey Hair
somewhere
Team?
between coaching hockey and coaching hockey.
Okay, so go back to when you were before you got the job at East, and you're talking to Ashley. She says, "Yeah, duh, this is what you should do." So walk us through, like, was that a super pivotal moment when you get the phone call, like, "Hey, yeah, we'd like to have you on as the head coach," or like tell us about how that went?
Yeah, so like it's especially easy when a bunch of parents reach out to you.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, like we really think that we need you here.
Yeah.
And our kids are coming up, and they, and I don't mean to say this negatively, but East wasn't very predominant for a long time.
Yeah.
Right, and it needed attention.
Well, the last time we were at the state tournament was 2006.
Something maybe
Or something like that?
Yeah, something.
Because I graduated.
Eight,
Was it 8?
Yeah.
Okay, so I
think it was
graduated
10 years.
05.
Okay.
That was on like Daniel and Derek Hager and those kids.
JT Miller.
JT Miller,
those
yep.
kids,
So I graduated 05, and I remember we lost to, I think it was, who was it? But we lost in like the section championship, as we had a number of times. But I think that team with those guys, JT Miller and those guys, those were the guys who finally made it to the actual, like, played at the X and that.
Yeah.
So until you guys made it back, that was a long hiatus.
Yeah.
And things were very different for East hockey from where that was to where the bottom was and where you guys are now.
Right. East was one of those teams that you wanted to play so you could pad your stats a bit.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I know a lot of those kids, and I don't mean to offend anybody there, but I mean sometimes you just got to look at it, and that's the way it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to come in there, and my main goal was to change culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
teams
know
go
you're
up
going to
and
get
down.
beat,
Yeah.
if kids know they're going to get beat, they're going to get beat.
Yeah.
Right. And it took us a couple of years to get in there to say, look, you're not going to get beat tonight. You're going to win.
Yeah.
And there's really no other option to do that.
And then
right?
have them believe it and have buy-in,
Right.
and know that.
And I had a lot of those kids like in youth hockey, and we won, and so we'd use times back then when we were, hey, remember we were in this big game and we won that game when we never had a chance, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing, but you have to, all the kids could skate to a degree. We weren't as skilled, as we are today.
Yeah.
But, one of the things that I do every year is, I go down, I look at the Bantam group, I look at the Pee Wee group, I look at the Squirt group. I even go down to like the 5-year-old group and my kids group and say, how many of these kids are East kids? Every year I get the spreadsheet of who's East, and I make it a point to go at least watch each kid a couple times.
Yeah.
So I know what's coming up through the system.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do off-season camps, so that I know who these kids are.
Yeah.
And they know us as coaches, right? Because it's a lot easier for a kid to
You're
come
building
play for
that
you
trust.
if they know you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they know what your expectations are.
Yep.
I go back to even like 20 years ago, my coaching style has changed, tenfold. It used to be more aggressive, more raise your voice. Now it's
But the kids have changed too.
understand a kid,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Understand who your staff is, essentially, right? So that everybody can be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember watching the, I think it was called 24, maybe. It was a show on HBO, and they covered, God, I want to say the Penguins.
Is this the road to the
Yeah.
The
Winter
road to the
Classic?
Winter Classic, yeah.
Yeah, what was,
Yeah, they covered-
24/7.
Yeah.
it was 24/7 or something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yep.
And it might have been like they covered the Caps or the Penguins. I remember if they did 2 or 3 of them, but
I think the Caps and the Penguins were playing in the Winter
Yeah.
Classic
Yeah.
that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so they get pretty, straight up access. Like,
Everything.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just remember some of the doors being closed, and your old coach actually, this guy is just hyper aggressive and screaming and yelling, and
Yeah.
I'm talking to my buddies. I think it was like me, Brandon Hayes, and his buddy Brad Davis, who played hockey growing up, and he's like, that sounds familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that was the idea that was put in my head of like, this is what a hockey coach sounds like.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case anymore.
No.
I mean, it's shifting because you know, there's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Look at like, wasn't it back then? Was it Bruce Boudreau was he was coaching for the Caps that year, and then Dan, God, what's his last name, was coaching the Penguins, I think, that year. I might be totally wrong, but
It's been a while. But I remember that scene.
This was probably what,
Tortorella or something like that.
Oh, dude, Tortorella is. Do you like him as a coach? He's a maniac.
He's a maniac, but I mean, guys listen to him, right? But I think that guy, I think he gets tossed around the league a little bit because guys listen to him for a couple of years,
and then it's just like, they turn off.
But, I mean, you look at, like, I remember Boudreau coming in, and he coached for the Wild a little bit.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to cut this part out, but he's like, I mean, he is expletive beyond belief. Yeah.
That's the
all
guy
all the way through, and he's calling guys out.
He was coaching
spot.
the Caps then, I believe.
Yes, he was. He was coaching
so
the Caps.
They shut the door, and they just kept the camera there, and you could just hear.
Yeah.
He's just, I'm like, how is this? I mean, I get that sometimes, you got to have a lot of tools in the toolbox, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
He just seemed to just lay into it, and my buddies were there, and I was just saying, hey, I just don't think that stuff is productive. It doesn't fly with certainly the kids today.
Yeah.
It was a different, thing 20 or 30 years ago, but I think you can get more out of the kids if there's that kind of trust and that player's coach.
And there's something to be said about kids that are 15, 16, all the way to 18 years old relative to guys that are professionals.
Right.
These are, 26 to 32-year-old men. I think that's
So
a
it's
little
just
bit
like,
different,
man,
but I agree with that.
And I just wonder what that arc is, right? They go from having a really great, compassionate coach that can find ways to motivate, and then they go to college or juniors, and it's like you never know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
I think like right now I haven't even used it. I call it the wild card, where you do get in there and you open up the door and you kind of let them have it, but you can only have that like one time a year.
Right.
And then that really gets the attention. Like, hey, you can tell, you can look around the room and eyes are up and shoulders are, and it's like, okay, the attention's there.
Yep.
Now that I have your attention fully, we tell kids all the time, like, this isn't about us as coaches. Honestly, this is all about you. Like, we want to make sure that you leave here. You only get 4 years to do this. Well, actually, most kids only get 3.
Yep.
And you only get 3 years to do this if you make it as a sophomore, right? So some kids only have 2 years or 1 year to even play on this varsity team. And we want to make sure that you leave here with no regrets.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part about being 34, 37, 39. I can look back now and there's an appreciation. Think about how short 3 or 4 years is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like when you're younger, I don't know if the context is there. That you realize how fast this is going to go by.
Yeah.
I have friends and people tell me that, well, imagine when you're 60 or 70 or 80. Trust me, it keeps going by quicker. And I get that whole time comparison thing.
Yeah.
But high school is a finite thing in time, period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
College, for some, it's it should be 4 or 5 years, but really, it's a finite time.
Yeah.
But high school is special on that. It's like you get in, and we are getting you out.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps going. You'll have a new team.
Yeah.
Next year, the
we
year
have
after
a new
that.
team every year. Really.
Every year, you some kids, there's some crossover, but for you, being 37, being young, you're going to coach for a long time, so you have opportunities.
Yeah.
And the kids get a couple years.
Yeah.
Right.
And what is so cool about that though is like obviously in my case, the guys that I played football with, I might not see for 10 years.
Yeah.
But then you see him again, and it's like for a lot of those guys that I played football with, I'm not best friends with, but man, I just ran into one after not seeing him for 10 years. And you just still have a connection. And the same thing with hockey, because you shared a locker room together. You shared the positives, the negatives, or the wild card. You were in there when coach went bonkers. Like you have that stuff, and that's such a finite amount of time, like you had said, and such a unique time.
Yep.
And I think to fully understand it, like you had said, Wade, is you have to like come look at it in retrospect to fully understand that. And it's hard to do that when you are 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that too about some of my coaches, like actually believing that it was about that particular coach.
Yeah.
And I'm totally wrong. So
Yeah.
I'm like, he likes doing this, or man, this, that practice was awful.
Yeah.
Thinking, well, looking back, this person's trying to get the best out of the team, the best out of me.
Yeah.
He or she probably knows how to do that.
Yeah.
But thinking at the time, I'm so sick of this.
Yeah.
But not realizing it. And
Yeah.
now looking
But
back, thinking like,
look at
man,
you today. Like how many times in a year, like do you go to work and you're sitting there after a long week and you're like, I am so sick of this.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
It never really changes.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
You're going to be in situations in your life. Like you're going to be around your kids like for like 3 days and you're like, I am so sick of this. Ask my wife after distance learning. Right.
It's like, I need a break.
Right. But I mean, seriously though, if you learn that and you learn how to deal with that,
Yeah.
at a younger age, it becomes easier to adapt to that,
Yeah.
as you get older, because hopefully you can reflect on,
Yeah.
those situations, and it's a learning moment. And you're right. 16, 17, 18, that you don't really think about what a learning moment is and isn't in your life.
Yeah.
You live by the day and you're pretty free spirited,
Mm-hmm.
but as adults, I'm like, that's a really damn good lesson.
It is
and
really good.
You hope you learn it, right? And timing and responsibility. And, I don't send emails to parents. I communicate through the kids. Like you're 16, 17 years old, 18 years old. Like you're going to college next year. Is your mom going to wake you up in the morning? No.
You should be accountable and responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes a long way on the trust factor, and, I want to be treated, well, and they want to be treated well. Right. So you just become where's that trust and where's that love for each other, in that team, and the respect you have for everywhere you go. Right. Respect is number one. Respect the officials, your parents, your locker room, your bus driver, your buses, your teachers, your school, and once you get all that established and your groundwork and your framework is there, all of a sudden winning becomes easy because everybody knows what the rules are.
Yeah.
And everybody knows because you're giving a reflection on your parents, your teachers, your bus drivers, your school, your rink, your locker room, etc.
Yeah.
Right. You pay a tribute to all that, and we've done it. Our coaching staff, not just me, right? Everybody that's on our coaching staff, varsity and JV, including our AD and a lot of the teachers. They've done a good job adapting to. This is the culture we want to bring to Mankato East.
Yes.
We want to win. Number one, yes. But what we're going to do while we're winning becomes the next part of that. We want to make sure we're putting out really good people.
Yeah. But you want to win the right way and win, where you have the, really classy kids on your team that are, that are representing a bunch of stuff.
Right.
The community, family, the team, the sport and all that. Like my kids are at that age, being 11 and a half and 10, where I think some of these things we're trying to, that we're trying to instill, I don't think they quite grasp it all the way yet. Like I'll say things to them every day before school. I love you. Do your best. Be at your best today. Remember you're representing our family.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay, Dad, whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm just saying, just keep it in mind.
Yeah.
It's no pressure,
Right.
but just keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's
It's
how
the
you turn
family.
out.
And
That's
they're
how
like,
you turn out. I mean, you look at it, the amount of kids that you coach that are going to go to the NHL is very slim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you're trying to turn out good humans.
Yeah.
And you can't really ask much more than that. And they can have really good times playing hockey, and they can have really good times playing sports and have the camaraderie and everything like that. But I think that focus on trying to create good humans that are respectful, just like you said, is an amazing philosophy.
So, okay, when I came to Minnesota in 95, 96, the stat that I heard was this state, in hockey in particular, has the highest percentage of amateur to pro of any sport. And I don't know the exact stat anymore, but it was like 1 out of 2,000 kids goes and plays professional hockey. It's some number like that.
Yeah.
1 out of 2,000. Might be 2,200. You know how crazy high that number is.
Yeah.
Look, you should ask the same question of the NFL as an example of any state.
Yeah.
Not probably
Right.
anywhere close to that high.
Right.
Not even close. I would just guess. I don't know the stats.
So
It can't be anywhere close.
I'd love to look it up now because I think the programs have gotten better and have improved. But like 1 out of 2,000 students that play high school hockey, they're going to go play pro.
Yeah.
Because that's how that's the quality of the game.
Yeah.
Football or something like that. I mean, think about how many quarterbacks there are in the NFL.
Yeah.
How many teams? Let's just round up and say there are 90 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If you have a couple on each squad.
Yep.
How many quarterbacks play high school football in Florida?
Hard to say.
Hard to say.
50,000 high schools.
Yeah.
But you
know what I mean?
Go to the next level and
Right.
you look at Division I hockey,
Yep.
and you look at, I'm going to forget one, but like Bemidji, St. Cloud, Duluth, MSU,
Minnesota.
someone's listening right now, laughing at me because Minnesota.
Yep.
Yeah, full Minnesota, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like that was intentional. I'm forgetting one.
I'm
forgetting one,
I went
only.
to UMD. I can't
Yeah, this
stand it.
specific one I'm
Gophers.
forgetting.
But and then you also take in, from a geographical standpoint, North Dakota is not that far. When you
Correct.
look at the amount of D1 top tier college hockey that we have right now in the state of Minnesota, and it's unreal.
Yeah.
You go look at the rosters on all of those colleges,
Yep.
and they are a lot of Minnesota kids.
They're stacked. They're stacked.
All 5 programs, which is funny because
Yeah.
most people don't realize there are 5 D1 hockey programs in this state.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And
That's
you look at
That's a ton.
You look at, I think, in the top 20 right now, you have a significant amount of them that are in the top 20 in the nation for D1 college hockey. And MSU, I think, I'm going to get murdered for this now too because I'm not going to remember where they were in the poll this week, but they're 3. Yeah, I want to say they're 3 because you have it's BC, North Dakota, and then MSU. But I mean, you look at that right here in Mankato, Minnesota, little podunk, Minnesota, and we have one of the top teams in the entire country for the last couple of years. This is not something that is new.
I was going to say it's pretty
right
consistent
here.
too.
Well, and then I know a lot of hockey coaches, like high school hockey coaches, and a lot of them are, old Division I players, pro players, so they bring that passion back to the game, and that's one of the reasons why it evolves and it flourishes so well,
Yeah.
and again, here's me. I'm a copyright. I would be sued a million times, right? If you got sued for every time you stole somebody's hockey play or something, right? Or their practice plans, or something like that. I'm out there scouring all the time. Like, how do we make these plays better? How do we do zone entries, zone exits? How's our power play, penalty kill? How do we make all those things better? How do we make better skaters? That's my big thing right now. Is how do we make better skaters? Just stealing all that stuff. And those guys have so much good shit. I mean, it's just like.
Yeah.
It just never stops.
Yes. And, and what's so cool about that is like as a coach, how you're constantly reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
Or especially you have a new team come in the next year. Right. The very same power play that you had last year isn't going to work this year.
Right.
Might not
or
work.
the penalty kill or your 5-on-5 or your zone entries. Any of those things you have to now revamp because you have different players and they have different strengths. I mean, to me, that's a difficult thing to be able to do and see those strengths and weaknesses in the kids and not think that they're bad, but just use them to the betterment of the entire squad.
Right.
I think that's amazing.
So, being from Wisconsin, there's not a professional hockey team. There are different leagues, right?
Yeah.
But there's no NHL team in Wisconsin.
No.
So then, who did you?
They follow the Packers.
Well, Okay, so let's just run it down then if we're going there. So, are you a Packer fan?
So I'm kind of a fair weather NFL guy. Like
Okay.
I like Sundays to do things, and if if
same.
all the neighbors are coming over here, let's have a couple beers and watch football. All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Obviously Aaron Rodgers is a pretty good quarterback, but like
He's
I'm
excellent. Yeah.
big time college football guy.
So you like Badgers?
I love college football. Badgers are my thing. Like
Okay.
Saturdays, I will give my 3 hours
exactly.
up to watch Badgers.
Okay. Yeah.
My dad went to Wisconsin, so I mean, I go to
Bucky.
a Badger game every year. My wife's from Iowa, so here's another Iowa route into your show because it seems like everybody's got a pretty good route to Iowa, right?
Yeah.
So my friend Eric Heim is from Hazel Green, Wisconsin, which is down by Dubuque, Iowa. He lives in Iowa City, North Liberty, but works in Cedar Rapids. He wanted me to give him a shout out. So Eric J. Heim, here's your shout out from Wisconsin, lives in Iowa. Mark it down. Well, I'll give you a note when it happened. It's about, I don't know, It's like an hour and 15 minutes into this
Tony
thing.
will tell
okay,
us.
so there you go, Eric Heim. Look him up, Precision Drywall. All right, Cedar Rapids. Okay, so Badgers, and then
So then, like it was the North Stars, for when I was younger.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we actually skated at the Met Center between periods.
Nice.
One time as a kid, like they do now here with like the little.
so you drove
kids.
over and went to the mat. And then
Yeah,
skated.
right, and played between periods, and then then the North Stars had left and they went to Texas, and there was no team there for a little bit, right? So, I mean, I just watch Badger hockey at night,
Yeah.
on public access TV or PBS or whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? Because there's nothing else airing it at the time.
Yeah.
So it was like I was watching the replays at like 11 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like every time, even when I was a kid, I was dissecting the game on power plays and penalty kills, even a little bit, like what are the X's and O's and drawing up some stuff. But I don't know. Now it's a lot more fun now these days. But that's who I don't really followed anybody in particular. I just followed the game.
Okay, I got a coaching question that might be too much X's and O's for those who aren't fans. But so on the penalty kill, you usually have, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm like not a hockey mind. I just love the game. But you usually have two different styles. You're going to have the more passive style where you're going to create kind of a box and you're going to try to block lanes and block shots and all of that, passing lanes, etc. And then you have a more aggressive, like go out to the point and pressure the D or whatever that might be. What type of penalty kill do you like to employ, or is it different depending on the situation?
Aggressive.
Why don't more people not do that?
Oh, I think that, again, you talk about the evolution of the game.
Yeah.
More people are doing that now.
Okay,
because they can see it, right?
Yes.
I mean, in high school hockey, like I look and I'm like, here's the deal. Like you're a high school hockey team, right? You don't have like, you're not 21 all-stars on your team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have a few kids who are really good. Generally, when you're going against a power play, it's your top kids, right? No different from us, no different from anywhere else you go to, right?
Yep.
You're going to put your top kids out because that's your chance to score.
Yeah.
But when there's a loose puck, you're still a high school hockey player,
Yep.
and there's a better opportunity than not that when there's a loose puck, you're gonna cause some havoc, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that even goes for the forecheck on the penalty kill. I'm very aggressive.
Yep.
Throw one down there. support the other three, and let's see what happens, right? And make sure that they're feeling pressure before they get to their our defensive blue line. So
and I've noticed that. So again, to bring it back to the Bulldogs, but when I'm watching them against Western Michigan 2 weeks ago, Western pressured us the entire time. We were like 0 for 6 on the power play for the weekend, or 0 for 9 or whatever it was. It was terrible. But the difference is the week prior we had played where they were backing off. They were letting us run the puck around the perimeter, and then all of a sudden you find a lane and you get a back door.
Yeah.
Where Western was pushing us, and I'm thinking like, dude, this is not good because we can never settle the power play down.
Yeah.
To me, I don't understand why you don't see more of that. And maybe just because I'm in my little bubble now, you do, like you said. But to me, a pressure penalty kill is the way to do it. But what do I know?
yeah, I'd much rather run it. I watch film on every team that we play, and I know when our power play is going to be really good, and I know when our power play is going to struggle.
Yeah.
And it's going to struggle against the teams that are really coming after you hard.
Yep.
But I pretty much can tell you we're going to score 75% on the power play if we have somebody that's very passive and just kind of waits for you to make a play.
Yeah.
Because
Interesting.
we will make a play because we move.
Yeah.
Move fast.
Yep.
So then,
Thank
has
you
that
for the X's and O's,
philosophy?
because I wanted to ask that. I was thinking about questions and I really wanted to ask that. Okay, go ahead.
So has that philosophy changed for you as a coach? When you first started, or are you kind of ebbing and flowing with the game as it changes? Because you got 20 years to look at now, and you can clearly tell if there's a shift in philosophy on the ice, or say like certain plays are coming in, and trends tend to go through the coaches, right? It's like this coach starts doing this, and then somebody else picks it up and it changes. So do you, not just on like the player relations side, but on the actual X's and O's side, do you feel like you've changed your philosophy as a coach more or less?
Yeah, I think we change it every year. I would say that I think our basics are the same. We want to work hard. We're going to forecheck hard. We're going to lay down. We're going to block shots. But how do our X's and O's work? What kind of forechecks are we going? What are we going to? Our defensive zone is generally pretty much all the same. That's the part of the rink we take the most pride in. Is playing defense, don't get scored on.
So you'll change it every year. Okay.
Yeah, like you kind of have to, because you're going to have, like this year we have really high end talent, so we can do a lot of stuff with some really high end talent, and we're really deep, right? Like in the past, like we haven't had the high end talent and we haven't had the depth, You know,
Yep.
so you can run your guys a lot harder right now because you have a second line that's going to come,
Yep,
you have a third line that's going to come,
Yep.
rather than you can't run them as hard because they're going to be gassed.
Yep.
You know, like actually, believe it or not, like this is the second year I've done this, but this is the first year I've really gotten into analytics. And
really?
we pay a company, right, to break down our game film. And I know every shift, I know every length of shift my kids have had, and I know how long their ice time is.
Interesting.
And I'm here to tell you that at Mankato East, our top two lines are good. We play our best when our top two lines play 24 minutes and our third line plays 16. But
Isn't
when
that
our top
awesome?
two lines get into like 28, 29, that's when we're going to struggle because
Yeah.
our guys are too tired because of the way that our style of play.
Yeah.
Like we're aggressive, we're physical, we're
See, that's what I'm talking about right there.
That's
This
so
is
much
high
fun.
school hockey.
Yeah.
And geez, man.
So do you have someone with a stopwatch? I mean, like how like let's say you're during the game and you're middle third period, and all of a sudden you're like, dude, first line's over by 2 minutes. Like we gotta rest them, or you just kind of get the feel of it.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can feel it. Like I mark down kind of
Yep.
how many times our first line is.
Yep.
I have a piece of paper. If you ever watch me coach, I got to.
Yep.
Usually it's always an old envelope of some sort. And I always mark
Because you're
down.
kind of cheating how many times they.
Yeah, because I want to see. But then I can kind of tell by the kids too.
Yep.
You know, and our kids know like, hey, I've been on the ice too much. I need to get off because
Yep.
I know that they know they're not going to be able to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, and I mean that helps us tremendously. But you're at a point now where you're 11 games into the season where you know when they've know what it's like.
And here's what was interesting from the non-hockey. Like, I mean, I've played enough hockey now where I have a really good appreciation, a super good appreciation for how hard it actually is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I am at a low level. But, from coming from someone who, Wade, you didn't grow up playing hockey. I didn't grow up playing hockey. I have a sincere passion and love for it. But what I find is so interesting with those kids is let me back up. So when I grew up playing football, the first time I ever played hockey, I'm like, where's the play stop? Like football is like, whistle, or, you hike the ball, whistle, start over. And you just keep doing that. The craziest thing about hockey, after playing it for the first time, I'm like, do I get off the ice now or when? Or like, okay, you dumped the puck. Well, now you iced it. Now, that screwed that up. Like, it's such a fluid game, which is so cool. I mean, a lot of people that are going to listen to this have already, they've played hockey for a long time and they're going to think this is a dumb comment. But for those that haven't, it is so amazing to watch how fluid that game is and how first live game I ever brought my wife to, she goes, what are those guys going to the bench for? Like, where's the whistle? Because she grew up watching basketball.
They're taking a break.
I'm like, no. They're
Right.
changing now. I mean, you might not have a whistle for 10, 15 minutes, I mean, it sometimes is way shorter than that, but that's what's so cool about the game, though, and how you're talking about. You got to manage that game. It's not something that you're not taking 3 timeouts in a period.
No.
You have to manage it on the fly in that second and say, okay, I want second line going. I want third line going. And you're making those decisions as a coach right there on the spot. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched hockey like growing up or played it,
You have to watch it live.
It's
on
a
the TV is not nearly as cool.
it's a complicated game to just like walk into a room and start watching hockey to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
If you're not used to the game,
Yeah.
Yep.
for some reason it translates so much better live.
Yes.
It's one of the best live sports, period.
Yep.
If you like grew up, if you're watching it on TV growing up and you didn't play it, the first time you go to a live hockey game, there's almost like an aha moment where you go, now I get it.
Yeah.
There two things on that was really cool. One, if you want to watch how hockey is played, go to the very top seat
Yep.
and watch just the shapes. Don't look at an individual player. Watch the shapes of the team and how they move up the ice and how the other team reacts, and watch the entire team as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go to the XL and you watch the entire game as its entirety, not just an individual player. It's amazing to watch that. And then secondly, to your point, when you're talking about from an entertainment perspective, I have a good friend out in Denver, Colorado, who is not a hockey fan. I mean, he's not like he didn't grow up playing hockey. He doesn't know anything about hockey. And when he and his wife got married, they're like, hey, we really want to travel. We want to do stuff. We want to go to, sporting events. He said top 2 guaranteed, no question. They've been all over the world seeing stuff, running with the Bulls, all the stuff. And he goes, top 2 sporting events ever. I mean, bar none, no question, are MMA fights and in-person, like live hockey. There is there's no better bang for your buck in entertainment factor. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes.
And it's fun. I always tell people too, like I obviously go to a lot of hockey MSU games, if we're not playing, because my kids like to go and our friends are, congregating there and we bring some friends with us. Right. And And they're always like, "You're not really watching." I'm like, I am so damn tired of watching a hockey game. I came here to drink beer
Right.
and hang out with you.
I'm
and
here to
for
socialize.
Yeah,
and
and for you to have the experience, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they're like, okay, and so I'm like, do yourself a favor, and for this next period, never watch puck.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
Don't watch puck.
Yes.
You know, so if you're looking at the puck, look somewhere else
Yes.
because you don't understand the game if you don't watch puck.
Yep.
You know,
And-
and even like when I'm coaching, a lot of time I'm not even watching the puck. I don't really care where the puck is. I know where the puck is going to be.
Just
Yeah.
by how everyone's reacting, you don't need to
Yeah.
know where the puck is because
Yeah.
you already can see what's
Unless it's like a
happening.
breakaway, I'll watch puck.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
in.
Because it's hard not to. You're like, all right, now,
Yeah.
now,
All right.
Yeah,
This is
right.
gonna happen.
now some
At
fireworks.
this point in time, it's too far away to know a system.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is just a pray that you're going to score. If it's
Yeah.
going against you, pray it doesn't
Yeah.
go in. So
Okay, I got a question for you. So speaking like breakaway and big time things. So what has been one of the, if not the one of the biggest of whatever it might be, but a highlight of your coaching career?
Yeah.
making a state tournament.
Yeah.
So
Without a doubt.
explain that. Like were you guys the consensus you're gonna win and go to the tournament, or were you underdogs? Like
No, so-
explain how that works. how that
So
worked.
3 years ago, we went and we were the 2 seed, and we went through, and then we played the 1 seed, and we
Okay, hold on, back up. So those who don't know, like explain how you get to the
Okay, so like
state
you have
tournament.
your section tournament,
Yep.
and then you have your so you get through your regular season, then you have your section tournament, and then after you're done with the section tournament, then if you lose, you're done, but you win,
Mm-hmm.
you keep advancing, and then if you win your section, then you go to the state tournament.
Yep. Okay.
And I think actually, I don't know. Obviously, the state tournament's huge, but winning a section championship is something else.
Yes.
Like the high that you get, and there's we call it 3 seasons in hockey: your regular season, your section season, and your state season,
Mhm.
right? And you want to make sure that you can get to all 3,
Mhm.
right? If you only played 2 seasons, kind of sucks, right? Or everybody always plays 2 seasons, but then it's the depth in the second season that you go to. But the first year we made it, we were the 2 seed.
Mhm.
So you get seeded. The coaches seed you in a meeting. Everybody throws their seeds in there, and then they mathematically equation how you make it. So we were the 2 seed, and then we beat the 1 seed like 6-2 in the championship game. Which
So,
was
so like the
super cool.
coaches get together for like a meeting of the seating,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
so
Everybody gets
there
a chance
bush
to
light
say this
involved?
is
right.
where
I mean, like you
think
you don't have to name names, but what's the scene like? What does that look like? So like, are you meeting in like a
So it used to be
like
in
a
Owatonna,
school
we would all get together.
in
and then-
Owatonna and go to like a VFW or
No,
something?
no,
or,
it was at the high school. But we all probably wish it was at the.
Right.
I think if we all do it again, we'd be like, "Hey guys, let's go meet at the VFW. Let's go
Right.
meet at the local club, right?"
right, and then
Yeah.
so how many coaches are in this room? You're thinking,
So 11 head coaches are in the room,
okay,
and then you kind of hash out. So we used to be able to do is
it's like, what's the age range?
It's all email now.
okay, so what's
Okay.
the age range of like these 11 coaches roughly? Is it like your age, 30s
So
to 60?
yeah, I think probably my first year I was probably the youngest guy,
Okay.
and then there's some legends that were there like Roy Nystrom from Albert Lee. Like the guy's a phenomenal guy. The rink is named after him.
Yeah.
You
So is
know.
there any gamesmanship in this meeting of the seating?
So there are some guys that come in there and they're pretty aggressive on how they think they should be seated, right? And you're all like, "What?"
no, I don't know about that.
Listen here, Bob.
Yeah, you're like,
seen
hey,
it?
hey, Jim, not a chance, right?
So I-
You're 3-12. You're not the 1 seed.
Yeah.
I love thinking that there's a bunch of like probably male hockey coaches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Wisconsin, Minnesota, maybe Canada,
North
but
Dakota.
North Dakota, they're kind of Midwestern guys.
Oh, yeah.
Going there, sitting down, and I can see all of the kind of like passive, indirect conversation. He's like, "Hey, Bob," he's like, "I want the number 1." They're like, "I don't know." I don't know. Oh, geez, Jerry.
Yeah, after they put their tin of coke away, and they're like,
All right, let me tell you where I think
They're
we
like,
should
listen, you guys should be the. He's like, no, that's not. You guys, this guy's full of it.
Yeah.
So they were really just going around the room, and everybody had a chance to like say why.
Yeah.
This is who we are. This is why I think
Yeah.
we should be where we're at, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of coaches that are like, look, here's the deal. We're the 11 seed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's usually a pretty good fight, be it 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
those are usually some pretty equal teams,
Yep.
They've always
number 1, number
battled.
2, you can kind of
Maybe
figure
they
out.
split during the season,
Right.
And they're
something like that.
competitive, and the games are going to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you get a sheet of paper, and then you vote, and then there's a mathematical equation that goes into it, and then that's where you land, right?
Okay.
And so
I
that's
didn't know
usually
how
where
that's that.
I didn't either. I'm
Yeah, I didn't know
fascinated by
That's
that.
the first I've ever heard of that.
yeah.
That's really cool, actually.
Some teams go by like your AQL ranking, and that's all computer by your strength of schedule, your how many games you played, goals scored, blah blah blah, right?
And you walk in, you're 35, and they're like, Hey, Coach Fries, it's your first one of these, okay?
Yeah.
Let me tell you how it's done. And
Right.
you're like, it's freeze. And you're like, whatever, Fries.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna be the 5.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't think so. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You can't push me around.
So who did you beat? to
Oh,
get
who
there?
did we beat that year?
I'm trying to remember.
I think we. Oh, so we beat West in the first game.
Yep.
Oh no.
I remember that.
And then we beat Minnesota River in the semifinal, and then we beat Rochester Lures in the championship game.
Okay. Yep.
Nice.
And then the next year we come in, we are the unanimous number 1 seed, easily, and we got upset in the semifinal.
Sometimes that happens though.
Yeah, and that does happen. And then the next year we
Yeah,
came in as the 4 seed.
Yep.
And then that was last year, and then we walked through that and made it to the tournament again. But
So
I don't know, man. It's a psychological thing with the
the 1 seed hasn't made it out of this section of the state tournament in 5 years, so I almost don't want it.
Thank
right.
you,
So it's like
thank
it's
you.
a
Okay.
psychological thing. Like you're one.
I was having this argument and a mild argument with this other guy who's not a hockey guy, but we were just talking like general philosophy. I'm like, here's how I want my team to go through the hockey season.
Yeah.
Like I'd love for them to have
Yep.
a strong start because strong starts are good.
Yep.
But eventually you're going to have adversity. And
Let's-
I actually want adversity
Yeah.
for my team. Like I want to lose 3 or 4 or 5 games in a row and be
Yeah.
like, wow, guys, we're not as good as we thought. But
Yeah,
you
we
want that
need
to be kind of
this.
mid-season.
Yeah.
Maybe 3/4 of the way through the season, 2/3-ish. And then all of a sudden they go, okay, we suck. We should probably figure this out. And then they recommit. And then all of a sudden you kind of ramp up back into the playoffs. But I was
Yeah.
talking to this other guy and he was like, why would you not want to be the number 1 overall seed going into the NCAA tournament? I'm like, because they lose. I mean,
There's some
like St. Cloud,
psychological
like it's-
thing I think that happens being number 1.
I did the math. And
Seriously.
in the last 20 years in the NCAA tournament, and I'm trying to remember this because I did this a year ago, but the number 1 team has won like once in 20 years. It
Yep.
won the national championship. The teams that are most likely to win are between 5 and 10.
Yep.
And they had
Every
a
year
couple
it's like
of
a
outliers,
6 or a
which
7
were-
or a
it was a couple
a 9.
outliers like Union, I'm gonna Princeton, UMass. No, they don't have a natty, do they?
No, they
No.
don't have a title, but
No, but I'm talking title winners.
oh, title winners.
Yeah, this is title winners for the men's NCAA Division I national championship. But it was Providence, Yale, Union, a couple of those that were like outside. They were like 13 to 15
Yeah.
in the NCAA. But dude, I would much rather be that 5 to 10 seed because to me it just takes a little bit more burden off the shoulders of those
sure.
guys, whether it's D1 or it's for a section final. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so like my philosophy is like we get to pretty much name our schedule for the most part, you know. So we play West twice just because it's a great rival,
Yeah.
right? And you want to have that for the kids, and especially playing at ASA, it's a really sick deal.
awesome.
Yeah, so like you want that for your guys, and then you want to play. So then we used to play Albert Lee twice because that was a really good rival. It's since dropped off a little bit. But then we play everybody else down here once so that I can have a really hard off seasons or non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
My philosophy is like you want to be somewhere around 15-10 going to the playoffs. You know,
Yep.
because you know you're challenged. You want to go play teams that are going to stomp you.
Yeah.
Because you need a reality check. You know you want to get into tough teams that are going to give you a good run.
Yeah.
I never want to get into a game where I know we're going to steamroll somebody.
Yeah.
I never want to play that game.
Yep.
You know, because we get into bad habits. We get into
And like, what do you
bad-
learn from that bad?
Yeah, what do you learn?
Bad
You know,
habits.
and you have to hold back, and
Yep.
you know, so that kind of sucks. But you know, so this year was tough because we didn't have to have a non-conference schedule. Our conference schedule was what our schedule this year before pre-COVID was the dream. I mean, we were tough. It was tough. It was one of the toughest schedules in the state, and you know, we didn't get to play that. So now, you know, we talk about how do we challenge ourselves every day.
Yeah.
You know, and we have to.
Like
We have to
manufacture-
come through and like what you just said, like what's
man.
the adversity?
Yeah.
You know, and we've gone into games as coaches and we're like, man, we can't wait to play this game because we know we're going to face some adversity and we're going to point out that adversity,
Yes.
right? We know we're going to point out the
Yep.
adversity. No, hey, these 3 refs tonight, not very good refs,
Yeah.
right? So you're going to have to be prepared for it,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? And so after the game, we point out like, hey, this is the adversity. Memory bank,
Yep.
right? Put that away because you're going to need this coming the playoff time.
Yes,
you know?
that's
So
exactly right. And when you
there's
get-
a lot to be said about that.
And you get to single elimination, it's like you're
Yeah.
1 or 2 mistakes away
Yeah.
from the team that makes them or the team that doesn't.
Right.
And that's the game. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
pretty
those
much.
teams are good.
Yeah.
And the play's usually tight. It's not like a 6-2 win is not typical
No.
for that type of game.
Well, it's
You
like
know?
all the psychology. You know, if you're going into the third period and you're down by a goal, there's a good chance you win that game.
Yeah. That's why they say the worst lead in hockey is 2 goals.
2-goal
Right.
lead.
2-goal lead.
You know,
Don't
that's
have
Gave
like
one
2-goal
up
lead.
just a week ago, right?
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you like imagine you oh man, we were so close.
Yeah.
Or it's a mentality of, we got this. We're only down by 1.
Yeah.
It's just a different mentality shift where you're like, we're only down by 1.
You think about,
know?
I don't follow high school nearly as much as I follow college, but like how many shots are you like on average putting on goal each night?
So we're pretty high. You know,
Okay.
we pass up chances just to shoot.
Okay.
You know, we'll pass them back to our chances to shoot.
Are they the 25, 35, 15? Like what's an average, like how many pucks are you putting on
So
net?
for the first 8 games this year, we averaged 52.
So you're
Wow,
real, yeah. So
okay.
you're hitting, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, then now now we've had to we've scaled that back some. You know,
So you're
just trying
swinging.
to be
Yeah.
better. You know, get better quality shots, not
Yeah.
just firing from everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's this little thing in a hockey rink called a house, right? And
Yep.
you're trying to figure out how you want to get into the house, right? So we're taking some of those shots and we're taking them out of our bag,
Yeah.
and we're trying to figure out how to get into the house and make them better quality shots for better quality scoring chances, right?
Yeah.
And so we've and I have a shot chart after every game, right? We go through it.
Yep.
You know, I get the printout from my analytics, and we look and see, hey,
That's
this
awesome.
is how many times we've been in that house, and
Yep.
this is how many shots come from the perimeter, and we aren't going to score these shots,
Yep.
but look, how many goals do we have that are here? Like,
Yep.
what are our high percentage plays? Like, I always tell kids, there's a 90% chance you're going to win $1 million if you go here, or it's a 10% chance of winning $1 million if you go here. Which
Yeah.
way are
Yeah.
you taking? They're like, well, that way. I'm like, okay, then continue to do that.
Yeah. Shoot from
Quit
there.
doing this.
You
Yeah.
you may look amazing on the
Right.
rerun if your feet are below the goal line and you somehow
Right.
bank it off
Right.
the goalie's shoulder.
If you're right, if I'm shooting, if the goalie's right behind Wade and I'm trying to shoot, I'm probably not going to shoot through your chest.
Yes.
That physically is not going to work.
Yes.
So
Yep.
we have to move this way
Yep.
or this
Yep.
way to try to get that better shot. And kids are really adapting to it. You know, they always have.
Yeah.
You know, but you have goals every period. We set 3 goals every period. That's what we want to do.
Okay.
And we come through and we say, these are the 3 things we want to get accomplished. We're not worried about the end of the game.
Yep.
We're not worried about the outcome.
Yep.
Right now, we're worried about the next 17 minutes. Right.
Yes.
And so whether that's, you pick 3 guys out of the locker room, 3 different guys every
Yep.
period, and you're like, hey, what do you want to do? Hey, 15, what do you want to do? 23, what do you want to do? And they're like, these are the 3, right? So it's, some kids are like, hey, I want 15 shots this period. I want 7 block shots. I want
Yep.
10 hits.
Yeah.
So then makes it for me or one of the coaches were on the bench, like, okay, let's mark it off. Then
There
we
you
go
go.
upstairs and we evaluate. And generally speaking, when you mark off all 3 of those, you won the period.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that we didn't do. We've been doing the last couple of years, and this year we got away from it first couple games, and the kids like, we have to do that because
I think it helps
we
focus,
think too
right?
far away.
Yeah.
Doesn't that kind of narrow your focus and you focus on
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you're doing now versus winning or losing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I wish there was one of those for life. Because
Isn't it-
that's the thing about the sports translation is once you stop playing the sport, which has
Yeah.
some rules and finite, items, there's got to be a way to put that into life.
Yeah.
Because I think it's effective. If it's work or parenting or being a good spouse or whatever it is, there's got to be a way to get that to go. And
I sometimes look at like, what are the top 3 things I want to do this year?
right.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
Or
like,
even
that's
this
priority.
week, like you get to the office and it's like, what are the 3 things I need to do today?
I have to get this done.
These 3 things, and you attack those until they're done, and it's like, okay, well now I can deal with distractions. But there's a lot to be said about that. When do you have to be to the rink by?
Oh, so COVID, I would be there usually by now, but COVID, I can't be there till like 6:15.
Oh, okay. So,
So we
we
got time.
get a little bit of time. We
Yeah.
can keep talking hockey. I think that's
So yeah, so the game is interesting. We love, you gotta love it, right? I mean, sometimes, not only do you have to deal with the kids, sometimes you have to like put the parents back into retrospect too. You know what I
How
mean?
is it dealing with
Honestly.
the parents? That's
Honestly,
a
I've
whole
never really had,
nother
I
podcast.
never really had issues, but there's when you have a team like the Mavericks in town who are always
Yeah.
really good, right? Sometimes the expectation is like, you're as a hockey coach, some parents like think, hey, like you have a good hockey team, which we do. We have a really good hockey team this year, right?
Mhm.
I'm comparing you to Mike Hastings.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I am not Mike Hastings.
Yeah.
Mike Hastings is an amazing hockey coach, probably one of the best coaches I've ever had conversations with.
Really.
I know him well. Darren Blue, Todd Knott, same way, right? Those guys are just 3 amazing men, and they know the game so well, right? But I'm not them,
Yeah. Yep.
And I really don't even have a dream to be them,
Yep.
right? I idolize them. And I like what they do, and I like a lot of the systems they play, and I know a lot of the players because, believe it or not, I've coached a lot of those players in USA Hockey camps and stuff like that as well. So I know how well the players get, and I'm like, you guys love those guys so much, right? That's what I want to be as a coach, right? But I'm not Mike Hastings, and sometimes you got to tell the parent, your kid is not going to be a Maverick either, So let's deal with the best that we have, right? Like, there's two things that come in common, right, between like that staff and our staff is all 6 of us show up to the rink with one thing, a passion. Right. And and the second thing is we want the best for our kids. That's number 1 and number 2, and then the hockey part starts to come through, and then the success starts to divulge. Right. But like, we also don't have 26 of the top recruits in the country. Right. This year we have 16 of the top Mankato East kids. Right.
I was curious about that too, man, because it's like a gift and a curse because you have a really high quality, nationally ranked hockey program, D1 hockey program in your backyard. But we also have high school sports. We have high school hockey. And so you're used to seeing this comparatively ridiculous quality of everything. Coaching, playing, it's not the same thing at all. But what you see in your mind as a parent or as like a spectator or a fan, you get used to this certain like quality. And the only hockey that I ever watched growing up was NHL, and like all the Blackhawks games. So there's a huge jump in the other levels. And I think it's more enjoyable to watch some of the other levels, quite frankly. But it does set a precedent in your mind. Like you think this is what the game should look like. And I remember my son playing hockey. Lincoln played hockey when he was like 4. I'm not sure it's hockey. Like, it's, you're on
it's skating.
You're skating.
It's skating.
It's a hockey rink, and they're in hockey gear. But it's not hockey.
And
but
the kid thinks it.
But the kid believes you're right, and it is, and it's kind of a fun, beautiful way to watch this. Like 15 people skate around just all in a big mass, just chasing.
There's like the
puck,
group
right?
chasing the
Right.
puck.
It
And
just
then
looks like
then Owen goes off in the corner.
Right. And he's like, what are you doing? So I can only imagine to manage some of the expectations and the egos of parents in in the state of hockey.
I always tell my parents at the PAC meeting at the beginning of every year, there isn't anybody out here who has bigger expectations than we do as coaches. We do. I mean, we expect to win. And we expect that kids go out there and perform. And we expect that kids come and respect every aspect of the hockey community that they have, right? And, and I think those are the expectations that are going to become a good person someday, right? But they're going to be good hockey players while they're here too. And some parents see it. I really haven't had a problem. Every once in a while, a parent, will come up to me and they're, the first thing that always comes, but Jimmy did this. Well, guess what? Jimmy's not in the picture because we're here to talk about Johnny. We're not here to talk about anybody else because it's the kid's issue. And then all of a sudden it's like silence. Oh, so we don't have anything to talk about your own kid. We're talking about, the other kid. That's the other kid is actually more of your issue than your own kid. Right. Well, and I don't think in my 8 years here, I don't even think I've had maybe a problem, maybe 1 or 2. Maybe that's it.
That's pretty normal. I mean,
you just got to communicate with people. That's all people want, myself included.
Correct. Yep. Well, and I think it's interesting too that you're talking about how whether it's with parents or with the kids themselves, it's like just focusing on like that moment. Like, don't get so big picture that we're already looking at the next game or we're going to steamroll someone or something like that. It's like, I remember playing football and my defensive coach would just say, this next play, you focus on doing your job. That's it. Everybody else is going to do their job. You just do your job. That's it. Just focus on that next snap of the ball. And there's so much to be said about that because I remember I was just a total head case. I'm like thinking, okay, well, like, we're in the third quarter, like this is what we got to do. He's like, no, just do your job right there on that spot. And I think there's just a lot to be said about that. But anyway,
the most fun hockey that I had, like obviously coaching high school hockey is really fun, but then the next part about coaching hockey that I've had a blast with is watching my kid grow. Right? And all my friends' kids grow, because I coached that like level too. And even like I think in my neighborhood now, I think I probably have 5 or 6 kids that now play because I have a rink in my backyard, and we just do that stuff, right?
Sorry, I'm just keeping the streak alive. For some reason, my wife must call me during the podcast, she must do it.
So she has a streak too.
This is the streak right here,
Let's see.
where I'm like,
No, nothing
know,
from Lisa.
it'll be,
I don't have one either.
I am doing the podcast. I'm doing the podcast, and then there's nothing. There's like, she's like, and then I go home and I see her, and she's like, I'm sorry, I forgot again. I'm like, it's okay. We've only done 10 of them
Not bad.
on Thursdays at the same time.
Yeah.
I know, but I
Every
keep
time.
forgetting. And I was like, is this podcast not important to you? We have the Mankato East, men's hockey coach here. And now I had to explain why my phone keeps vibrating at the end of our podcast. So, sorry,
Well,
coach.
We're
No,
at
it's all good.
we're like an hour and 45 minutes at this point.
Okay,
So
so
I think what we should do is I could sit and talk about hockey forever, but I think we should do a couple of things. One, we'll wind this one down. Number two, we're gonna have you here next time when you don't have a game
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yep.
And then we'll have more fun talking about hockey. But I think this has been one of the more, not that any of the conversations were bad that we've had, but like I have
Ooh,
such a
good
passion
save.
for hockey.
that was a good save.
I have such a passion for hockey, and you and I are friends. We know each other,
Yep.
and I got to learn stuff about you that I didn't know.
So
and
how,
I just think it's so
how'd
fun.
you guys become friends?
We knew each other from my son Owen was
Okay.
playing hockey,
Gotcha.
and now has since done Taekwondo instead. But that's kind of how we hooked up
Oh, sure.
originally. But we've known each other for a while
Yeah.
before that, just kind of through different people.
Just through friends and different
Yep.
networks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and you like to be. We see each other on the boat out of Medicine Lake every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yep, so that
just
helps too.
sporting our
Okay.
dad bods.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Super
By the way,
dad.
that starts on Monday
I
because it's starting to warm up pretty good.
Oh, I know. I had to go into the Wade David text machine, and I was like, dude, what do you do to not be large? And he told me, so I'm gonna get on that that thing now.
It's just kind of abject self-rejection. Just work out like an animal and try to lose weight. So.
You super
stinks.
side note,
It's
I won't
not
even
fun.
say, but Wade was he sent me a video of the workout songs that he and Kelly listened to while they
No,
were
it's
working
her.
out,
It's
and it was
definitely
freaking
Kelly.
awesome. I'm like,
She's a straight G.
dude, she's a badass.
She's working out to like
DMX.
DMX, right? It's like X,
X
gonna
gonna
give it
get
to
you,
you.
yeah.
Gonna give it to
He
you.
says
X
in the
gonna
video
give
she's
it
not
to
even
you.
looking. She's just like on the
No,
Peloton, just
she's
hauling
ripping it.
ass.
And I'm
I'm
just
just
like,
like,
geez.
wow.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna make bacon.
Yeah.
They say your body needs fat to burn fat.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I just can't say thank you so much for being on here, and this was super fun, and we'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, I would love to come back. I love talking about hockey, but
Oh, it's so
I
fun.
love talking about the community of hockey too around
Yep.
here because I think it's stronger than people think it is.
I think so too.
You know, I think there's a lot of cool events that are coming up, like next year Hockey Day in Minnesota. We didn't even get to touch
Yeah,
on
we didn't
that.
even talk about
Hockey
that. Wow.
Day in Minnesota coming
Yes.
to Mankato, Minnesota
Yep,
next year.
next year.
And
think
that's,
about
that's
it, like,
evidence right there of the hockey
last
culture
night,
growing.
Last night was in any other year, we should have been the second championship and the state tournaments next week, right? And here we are, still have 8 games to play.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yep.
this year we haven't even got to touch on a lot of that stuff, but I think
Mm-hmm.
the culture of hockey is strong in this community, and I think people should be proud of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I certainly am. You
Yep.
know, and I know there's a lot of others that are too. So
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 questions to close it out that I have to ask. I must ask them. 1, what's the greatest hockey movie ever made?
Oh, we didn't even get on that one.
I know.
Wow, we were supposed to.
yeah.
Well, you want to talk about penalty kill for 9 minutes, so that's fine. So what's the,
That was a legit question.
yeah, it was a good question.
Yeah.
So what's the best hockey movie ever made in your opinion?
You know, dude, I really like Mystery Alaska. I really, really like that one.
Okay.
But I still have to go back to Slapshot. That is still like the amount of one-liners and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's social like references
Yeah.
that go back to that movie.
Yeah.
You know, are just that to me still has to be number one.
Yeah. I think mine's probably, I mean, it used to be Miracle, but I've watched it so many times with my kids. That It's
Yeah.
just like, and I mean, because it's real, you know,
Yeah.
and I think
Miracle's
I-
amazing.
I'd met Herb Brooks back in the day, you know, before.
Did you
he
really?
had- yeah. Before
Wow.
he had passed.
Oh wow,
you
that's
know, so,
amazing.
you know, that was kind of cool, but you know, and the personal references that you make from it. But I don't know, like Mystery Alaska is probably one of my top. You know, Slapshot. I watched that so much with my uncles growing up.
Right,
It was kind of
exactly.
like one of those. You almost know every line, so you don't want
Yeah.
to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm going with Alaska.
yeah. They're all so amazing, and yeah, Miracle, dude. Like I still every time I watch it, and I've seen it
just cry like a
lot.
baby.
And the whole time, like, you just still get chills every single time Ruzioni scores the goal, you know?
I still get the chills when he comes out when he's like gets cleared to play.
Yeah.
Like, he's like,
OC's playing, baby.
Yeah,
And he's sliding across the ice. Like,
I'm
don't
like-
fall down.
I'm like, bro, you did not do that. That happened in the tunnel.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Hey, meet me at center ice. I got a good message for you.
Yeah.
Just in case you slip and then break your knee again.
Yeah, right.
So
Exactly right. So what's yours?
slap shot for me for sure. Or maybe Goon, which is kind of a newer movie but slap shot for sure. And then final question was, is Happy Gilmore a golfer or a hockey player?
He's a hockey player.
He's a golf caddy, isn't he?
See, even the coach seems to say it might be a golf guy.
I think he's a hockey player that just randomly started
Like,
playing
like
golf.
the movie Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
He's a hockey player, but he becomes a golfer.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Well, okay, there's another connection, though, of how many guys do you know that are good hockey players that hit bombs off the tee that are golfers?
Every one of them.
All of them.
that's why I don't
All
golf
of
with
them.
hockey players.
Dude, you get 5 foot
I don't.
6.
I do not.
I can't.
but-
I can't. 5'6", like 140 pounds, and it's
Wham!
like 320. And
Yeah.
I'm up there swinging as hard as I possibly can. A lot more weight and a lot more force
Hitting
behind it,
210.
probably. Yeah, 210. That'd be good. But I mean, like, I can't understand how these kids do that. My little cousins all played hockey, and they're just like super skinny.
And they're crushing the ball.
And they're bombing the ball. We go out to my grandparents out on the Mississippi River, and we hit range balls, try to hit it across the river, which at that point is a long drive. I think it's like, to carry, it's like 280 to carry. It's a big one. And these little dudes are coming up and just smacking it, and I'm hitting it as hard as I possibly can after like 5 beers, and I still can't do it.
You're trying to muscle the ball.
We play in the Maverick alumni golf tournament every year, and every year you get a player on your team.
Yeah.
And I've coached this kid in high school hockey and some other things that we did. And Andy Carroll, I hate to name drop because he's a really good player and he's a really good kid and he's a really good golfer.
Yeah.
But so he's on our team. I mean, he's not. I don't know what he weighs. I don't even want to project it, but he's not real big dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he's hitting the ball with no shoes on.
Right.
And I'm like,
And you're trying as hard as you
come
can.
again? Like every ab that's buried here is like putting it into that ball.
They're chiseled in there, though.
Oh yeah. But that ball, my ball does not go like that.
Oh,
and
I
I'm
know.
like, how and why?
I know. But those are the difference between
just
guys.
frustrating.
Like there's
I
some
hate
type of
golf.
connection between. I hate golf too. I'm so bad at it. I get so frustrated. But
I
there's
hate
some
golf,
connection
too.
between a slap shot in hockey and driving the ball in golf. There's some connection.
If golf was 6 holes, I think I'd be in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
18 just gets too long. And by like the 7th, I'm like, I'm ready to just drink beer in the sun and hang out with the boys.
I don't want to do this. Maybe we should get a sandwich.
Well, I agree. We should have a league that you just play 6 holes
Yeah.
and then you just walk off.
Yeah, let's
It's
see what
like,
happens
okay.
in 6 holes.
Yeah,
right?
that's fine.
Meet you at the bar.
Yeah, I was 1 under in 6 holes. But if I
golf
played
so-
18, I'd be 26 over.
Maybe it's because by the 7th to 18th, I'm terrible. But 1 through 6, I'm like, hey, this ain't bad.
Yeah,
this is-
exactly.
this isn't bad. Number 7, this is boring. I want to go do something else.
Yeah, I
want to
suck
get on the
now.
boat. Anyway, we should probably stop because we're still
Anyway,
talking.
Coach, appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've got Coach Freeze. Please come back. Let's talk about some stuff other than hockey. But thanks for for doing it.
Let's talk more hockey.
And giving us all the hockey that you could for the time.
Yep.
But love to have you come back and talk about some things. Aside from hockey, if you would.
Yeah.
But
Good luck tonight.
Yeah, and good luck. And I don't have good.
Who do you play tonight?
Otana.
Oh, all right.
Oh, a ton of. So I think this is your camera here. If there's anybody you want to say hi to, any shout outs, players, family, friends, and then Matt will sign us out. We'll be out.
Shout out to all the fans out there. We miss all the fans this year. I'd tell you what, it's terrible. Like, we love the parents there, but you know what? We wish we could have everybody there, and all the parents and all the players wish we could have everybody there. We miss having packed houses, but shout out to all of our supporters. It takes a community to help 36 kids succeed, and that's a really big deal, and we can't do it without those people out there. So if I had a sheet that could hold up with all the people, I would, but it wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Thanks to the fans. I'm Wade. It's Matt. Thanks for watching.
go Cougars.
Go Cougs.